Warning, this podcast was produced by two men who still think that swearing is both big and clever. As a result, it contains quite a lot of it. Therefore, this podcast is not suitable for children, unless they're really fucking cool children.
Hey everyone, Krister Greer here, welcoming you to another episode of Pop, Collaborate and Listen. We are up to episode 3 of season 2, and this one requires a little bit of a preamble explanation, I think. Basically, I think we've alluded to this in the first couple of episodes, but we recorded this episode a few months back. We recorded it out of sequence because we had a friend of ours, a friend of the show's, coming to visit, a guy called Cy Sharp, and he is a sort of music journalist, a bit of an expert on many different things, but one topic in particular he's always had a soft spot for is this kind of very early 90s indie stroke grebo music, because today we are talking about Jesus Jones. So while he was in town, we wanted to get this episode done, and this means we recorded this when we still had our shitty little microphones before we kind of upgraded a little bit. So for one episode, we are unfortunately back to the sound quality that we kind of used to have. Bear with it. I understand it's not nice, but, you know, fuck it, that's what you get. It's also quite a long episode because there were 3 of us were having a good old chat about this album. So I hope you get a lot out of it. We had a lot of fun doing it. But I understand that it almost feels a little bit out of place whenever you listen to these in order, but such is life. Also doesn't help that we decided to record in Dave's conservatory with the door open, which means there's loads of birdsong outside and just general outdoor noises affecting the whole thing as well. So, you know, it is what it is. That's what I'm saying. Also, by the way, the reason I'm doing the intro this week is because Dave is still up at Edinburgh Fringe being a comedy bell end and doing his show up there, and he's too busy. So you've got me for this week. He'll be back as of next week, I'm quite sure. He's coming to the end of his Fringe run. If you are up there, go and see his show, ADH Dave. It's actually very good. You wouldn't think of it when having listened to this podcast, but it's worth checking out. Anyway, that'll do from me. Let's crack on with the podcast. I really hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
People, welcome to Pop, Collaborate and Listen, the podcast where we review every UK number one album of the 90s in order and in excruciating detail. This week I am here with my co-host Krister Greer.
Hello everyone.
And my name, as always, is Dave Fenson, but we've got a little surprise for you this week, people, because we've got our good friend of the show, Cy Sharp of Beat Rehab in the house. Say hello, Cy.
Hello everyone.
And we've brought him here because he is a bit of an expert on the concept of grebo.
Yes, indeed. We've known Simon for many, many years. Well, so 96, was it? We kind of first met up? Would
it be, 96, 95?
96, yeah. We used to DJ together. We were in all the same sort of indie clubs and stuff like that. And we have known forever that Si was a big fan of this style of stuff.
Yes.
Grebo was your thing.
Yes, I was briefly relevant.
Yes.
For about 2 years.
If you're unfamiliar with the concept of grebo, we'll get into that as the podcast goes. Why is it relevant, you ask? Because today we are covering Krister Greer.
We're not covering Krister Greer, we're covering Jesus Jones' Doubt album.
And for people that don't speak Northern Irish, that's Doubt. D-O-U-B-T. Dart.
Doubt. That's how it's pronounced.
Doesn't Eric Bristow play darts?
Not much anymore.
I suppose so. He's dead as fuck, isn't he? Sorry if there's any fans of Eric Bristow listening. Yeah.
We are now into February of 1991.
Yes, we are. This is episode 3 of the podcast. Didn't say up the front from 1991. So yeah, obviously we've covered over the last couple of weeks Enigma
and a bit of Sting. And now we are in February 1991 that this album got to the top spot. Only for 1 week though. So it's another flash in the pan, in and out.
Which is the story of my sex life. Yeah, no, okay. Well, I mean, I think it's fairly impressive that, you know, Jesus Jones got a number one album, to be honest with you. I mean, what's your relationship with this?
I really liked Jesus Jones. I remember being a fan back in 1990-91. I'm sure it's the same story as you, Si. I heard Info Freako first.
Yeah.
That was their off the previous album, off their debut album. Liked that, and then was kind of interested in whatever they did afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, Info Freako was their first single, and it was. They're not a story of a band that spent years on the gig circuit and then got recognised. They formed in '88, and Info Freako was their first single. Came out in about February, and it was a big hit in the Enemy melody maker.
It was really a massive kind of new big thing sort of style, wasn't it?
And then we're only like a year and a bit later, or 2 years later, when this is out.
Yeah, so Liquidizer was the first album, and that came out in, was that 89?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Oh yeah, because this album was actually recorded in 1990, wasn't it?
And then Food sat on it for a year. Yeah.
Okay, so within the space of, let's say, 2 years, 2 and a bit years, they've gone from absolutely nothing to a number one album and kind of indie Enemy darlings, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the in terms of their success, the interesting thing is how big they were in America. And I guess we'll come to that later on when we're talking about one of the songs.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Yeah, they were almost comedically huge over there for being such a weird little, Wiltshire-based nothingness.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they are, to this day, a kind of a feature of a certain style of American a sitcom, like the kind of remember Jesus Jones? That's kind of
right. Okay,
that's kind of a punchline in a certain kind of American sitcom.
As well, I'm guessing that's what the Americans thought British music was in 1990. This was the exciting new English.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know if that's the case. No, I mean, obviously, you still got the shadow of the Cure for over alternative music. Back end of the 80s, early 90s, that's when they're kind of hitting their absolute stride. It's don't underestimate how massive the Cure were in the States. They're an enormous band.
True.
So, I mean, for me, this is a slightly different story because, I'm, a little bit younger than you guys, but I'm literally by about a year. Yeah, fuck you guys.
You're younger than me as well.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Don't fucking lump him in with.
Oh yeah, no, you're the same age as me, aren't you? But anyway, but the point is, I was kind of, I was at school when this came out. Now I was still reading Smash Hits magazine at the time, and Jesus Jones got big enough that they were being covered in there, so that's where I became aware of them. So we'll talk about this as the album goes on, but there's a couple of the singles off this album I had.
Yeah.
But I never went down the line of getting this whole album. So listening to this this is the first time I've heard this. I'm going to be in a very different state of affairs to you guys on this, because obviously you guys both know it really, really well. And I don't.
Yeah, when you say really well, I had a taped copy of this album when it came out. I never bought it, but I did know the singles, and I did really like them. Whenever I was listening to it for this, I didn't remember quite a few tracks on there well at all. I was like, this rings no bells. Same for you, Si? Were you more?
So quickly my story in terms of how I got the album, because I was into Jesus Jones a lot, and I was. Probably won't surprise you. I was acting a panto.
We'll put a photo of Simon up on our social media, right? Just for the purposes of this, I'd like to point out that a notable feature of Simon is that he is the only person in this world that I can tolerate who has a feature moustache, right? It's quite. Simon's a flamboyant character. And that's what it says on his Tinder profile. He doesn't have one.
That his wife knows about.
His wife's in my garden, so I can't say that loudly. Anyway, carry on.
Yes, I was in panto, and I was.
Hold on, but you were 14 or so at the time.
I'd have been 15 when this came out.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's unpack this. Who were you playing?
Oh, it was. I think it was. Was I playing in a Robinson Crusoe type panto?
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's a genre of panto, yeah.
Yeah, and
who'd you have been playing?
It was a made-up character. I don't think.
Were you like Man Tuesday or something?
No, but pretty sure people blacked up for it.
Oh God! In Surrey, is this?
Yes, in Surrey, in Cobham, in Surrey.
And that still happens to this day.
Yeah, once a year. So yeah, I was in it, and I was also in the panto was a Radio 1 DJ called Adrian Just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so he got me this on promo before it came out.
What?
Nice.
Along with a white label of 30-something by Carter USM.
Was yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Oh wow, you were happy as pig and shit.
Yeah, totally.
Fucking okay, cool.
Look at that.
Good guy, Adrian Just.
Well,
what happened to him?
Well, the point is he hasn't gone to prison.
Well,
so.
I think
in that respect,
no news is good news on that one.
Wait, is there anything you had to do in return for this 12-inch? Anything
so
else?
to speak.
Do you want a 7-inch to go with that?
He was definitely one of the generation that got kicked out by Matthew Bannister when they had that big Radio Went Shake Up, who was enormously embittered with DLT and that generation.
Simon
so
Bates.
that's why no one listening to this will have heard of him.
Well, no, it's an absolute footnote in Radio 1 history.
I mean, little factoid about Adrian Just. He was the inspiration behind the Radiohead song of the same name.
Adrian?
Yeah, that's right. Adrian! Just stop it. Yeah, okay, right, so I guess when it comes to knowledge about Jesus Jones, Si gets the gold medal on the podium, Chris is in silver, and here I am with a lovely tarnished bronze badge.
Yeah.
As always. Okay, so do we need to do any more background on this record?
Right, just in terms of kind of general background, this only reached number 25 in the States on release. So even though some of the singles were really big, it wasn't like a massive number one album straight away over there. It was a long seller rather than an instant big hit. And it was only number one here for 1 week, which is understandable, I think.
It's the week where all of us bought it.
Probably,
Yeah.
It really is. And let's face it, it's the first week in February. We're still in that post-Christmas slump. No one's really releasing anything important.
No.
And so it's one of those things that I go, yeah, they probably didn't have to sell a huge amount. Got number one, fucked off again.
Yeah, but you know, in the pantheon of the stuff that we've been talking about, these are the releases that I'm the most interested in a lot of ways. Because Sting's always going to sell a lot of records because he's Sting.
Yep.
I mean, Enigma, that's being sold off the back of a gimmicky lead single.
And a massively single, and it was something that was kind of new, but bland enough to be easily accessible.
Exactly that. It's like, I'm driving my Vauxhall Cavalier up and down the motorway.
Yeah.
I could do with some Gregorian chanting. Why wouldn't we? But this is more interesting to me because this is groundswell. This is something that's happening not necessarily in the view of the mainstream, but there's enough interest underground that it kind of bubbles up like a spot, I suppose.
Yeah, nice. There's a little Grebo zit.
Yeah, big Grebo zit.
Exactly. I think bands like the Wonder Stuff have kind of done the groundwork, got everything to a certain level, and then now, start on 91, you're starting to get these bands commercially breaking through for a brief period until, something happens in September 91 with Nirvana.
Yeah, fair enough.
Very true.
I mean, I think probably the most analogous thing that we've done on this podcast so far is that Charlatans record.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that was
which I
the
loved.
first indie little small band coming through.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so right, let's start as we always do with the album cover. Have we got a copy of it here?
No.
Oh, for fuck's sake! What's wrong with us? I don't
Well,
know.
I've never had it. No.
Anyway, well, we've all seen the picture though, haven't we? Okay, so looking at this, I mean, it's going back into our stock phrase, it's very of its time.
Wait, yes, and like you said, the thing that I thought of was most comparable was the Charlatans in terms of design, because when you look at your Elton Johns and George Michael's, whatever, they're very polished. There's obviously money spent on the design. There's very, very little money spent on the design of this.
I mean,
that's almost the point, I guess, is that it's fucking we're cool. We don't need to have a big
Do you think
image.
so? I don't know. I think of it as being very much a graphic design style of its time.
Yeah.
If you compare it to things like Pop Release itself and those sort of things, and as I'm sure we'll come back to about how it's aged, etc.
Yeah.
Jesus Jones are very much very much of their time, deliberately so. So I think that's probably why it looks a little bit funny now.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite. I mean, to me, this is very. And I guess I say this because I've got a real interest in this. Because at the time I was like really, I was a skateboarder. I was really into skateboarding. This is very much of that kind of that skateboarding aesthetic of that kind of late 80s, early 90s.
Sure.
Kind of very kind of visual graphic. If you look at the logo, it's kind of very deliberate distressing.
Yeah.
Kind of, you compare that to like the Rad magazine, which was like the UK skate magazine at the time's logo. Very similar kind of form of that. And then like you say, Pop Elite itself, they had their little kind of Crouch. I don't know what he's called. I'm sure you guys know what he was called.
You know what? I don't think he's got a name.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad. Right, but he's it's very kind of simple kind of line drawing, but with a bit of character in there, a little bit of menacing, kind of countercultural, a little bit subversive, and then this graphic is just kind of repeated all over and quite replicated into a pattern. It very much speaks of a very particular era to me, and I kind of know from looking at it what I expect to get. I think
it also does. Also, if you hold it, if you move it, the tone of the colour changes.
Oh, really?
So I guess.
Oh, I've only seen a flat version of it. Oh, okay.
A little bit like this, how it's like silver and white. I think it does that where you change it and the colour of it changes.
Oh, like it's like prismatic or lenticular or whatever it's called.
Well, that is a series of words that I don't understand. But I hope so.
If it is, then you've
I
got a break for once.
mean, what I'd like to say though is just one up for the UK public school system, then, wouldn't we? Fucking money spent on your education, mate. You don't know what lenticular means.
No, well, yeah, I didn't do very well in that system. All I got was this voice.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, all I got was this voice and beaten up every day, so you're one ahead of me there.
But in terms of the look of the cover, like you said, when you see it, you kind of know what's going to be inside. It definitely is.
I mean, a CD, I was thinking.
Yeah, there might be a tape, mate.
But why would be in a CD cover?
Don't ask me these questions. But you know, it fits them in with the other bands of the time. It looks a bit like Pop itself. I suppose Wonder Stuff were a different aesthetic.
Yeah, they were a bit more of a kind of pop art look.
But I mean, EMF, who I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit in this, it looks like one of that gang. Maybe in a way.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, you look at this and like, okay, this is in my tribe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You'd be exactly when you're looking through the record store. Even if you don't know the name, you'll be interested.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. So anyway.
It does the job. I don't think it's a particularly great cover. I think it's like it is just one image done over and over.
Yeah. I mean,
that's why I'm saying no time has been spent on it. I don't think.
Well, I think time has been spent on it. I just think it's probably what the aesthetic of what they were looking for is not necessarily aged particularly well.
I think it's like you're looking at the special effects of a film from this era, and it might have been cutting edge of the time, but now it looks cheap.
Sure, that one works for me.
Anyway, right, should we go straight into the first song? What's the first song called, Krister?
First song is Trust Me.
Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Sample, big riff. Kind of open chord, kind of riffing away.
Yeah, but this is a big, solid statement of
keyboard drop.
Yeah, and it's very much a follow-on from this album, the previous album as well. And of course, you've got it's guitars, but they sound like
Okay, right, so we've got his voice coming in here. I think how you feel about Mike Edwards' voice is probably quite key to how you get on with Jesus
Are we
Jones.
doing Elton John again?
Well, look, right. I think he sounds like a bit of a the words I've written down here are reticent Lemmy.
What? Really?
Listen to him. He sounds a bit like Lemmy, but he sounds like with a bit of a kind of Mary Ann Hobbs vocal inflection. It's true.
He's a very PG Lemmy.
But listen, wait, okay, go back, listen to the voice. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me he's got a bit of Ace of Spades era Lemmy. He's got that kind of, it's got the gravel in it, it's got the kind of the straight ahead direction on it. Just check it out.
I'm not getting any bit of that.
You're fucking wrong. He sounds like a reticent Lemmy.
Well, I don't think it's deliberate. My take on Mike Edwards, I don't think he is a born vocalist. I think he's a songwriter who sings his own songs.
Yeah.
And since they're such a kind of studio band, he's produced his voice to have a certain sound.
Yes, right. I think that's very, very true. I mean, I've got notes about his vocal ability that goes throughout this, right? Now, just to be clear, you're looking at me like I'm saying reticent Lemmy as an insult, okay? I'm not. I actually like what he's doing here.
Okay.
This song, short and sweet, which is a theme that runs through this album. I mean...
Yeah, this is like 2.5 minutes, this song, isn't it?
I mean, across this whole album, there's only a couple, I think maybe two that run over 3 minutes and change. Right. It's heavy, it's fun, it sounds really unleashed. It's like very much a kind of, like you said, a statement, a statement of intent. And it's like, okay, straight away, I'm up for spending some time with you people.
Okay.
Yeah.
First impression, good then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. I mean, I agree with what you said, Si. I think they put this at number one as track one deliberately to get those kind of the old fans in from the previous album, the previous song they had, which was a lot more kind of raw and underproduced, to kind of bed them in a little bit before they had some of their softer moments,
Yeah, and I was pleased at how well this song's aged. I mean, I know that I love this sound.
Well, it is absolutely.
But it's there's so much going on. It's so furious, and it just stops after 2.5 minutes or whatever it is.
Bam.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. No, but I think this is fun. I think My only kind of concern with this is that there's not much of a real riff. It's just a lot of noise going on. I mean, there's a lot of different bits going on, overlaid each other. There's not a central one bit I can hook onto.
Well, it's that sound, isn't it? I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about Depeche Mode. It's about, kind of sometimes tones and sounds fill in the place of melody almost. It's like,
maybe.
It's like damn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, there is. It's almost it's very sample heavy. It's almost like a Public Enemy intro where they've got sirens and bombs and weird bass bits going on.
And I think there's a lot of times in this album where I really struggled to work out what the actual genre was of the songwriting itself. Obviously, the sound is, is kind of this grebo-y, loud sirens. Like all forward-thinking musicians at the time, heavily influenced by Bomb Squad, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's very rare that you kind of can imagine what genre these songs would sound like when they were originally written, before the band started just chucking stuff on there.
Right, that's true.
Well, I think this is one of the things I like about this most, like so far. What this sounds like is people that are open to a lot of influences throwing things together and seeing what works and what doesn't. And we'll discuss how successful those things are as we go through the record. Yeah. But obviously, even though this is now kind of 30 years kind of post hoc, it still doesn't sound specifically like anything else.
What you mean, specifically like something else in 1991 or ever?
You can go, okay, well, there's a bit of this in here, and I can take, this bit sounds a bit heavy metal, or this bit sounds a bit kind of pop, this sounds a bit kind of synth pop, this sounds a bit goth. You can kind of hear all the influences where they've kind of taken a lot of this stuff on. This song is not the best example of it, maybe.
No, sure.
But you can go, right, this is a group of people that seem to have a fairly open mind about what's going on, and they're happy to throw a load of different stuff that doesn't necessarily work together. In the way, when we listened to that Sinead O'Connor record and we started hearing break beats and then shillelaghs or whatever the fuck it was, right? It's a little bit more nuanced than that. It's things are working in harmony or grating against each other.
Yeah. I think these are Jesus Jones come across to me like a band that love pop music in all its different forms, and there's a few bands around this time that seem to be living in the time they're living. In terms of, you've got breakbeats that come over from the States, and they've influenced everyone across genres in the UK.
Yeah.
To the extent that we almost don't bother getting into the sort of Chicago house sound. We go straight into hardcore because we just take those breakbeats. And same with these guys. You can tell that they are completely unsnobbish about what they listen to, and they love the fact that they're making music for the time they're making it.
Are they completely unsnobbish, or is there a complete implied musical superiority in here? They're like, fuck you guys, we know what we're talking about. This is the best thing we're doing. I get a touch of that about it.
I mean, I know that Mel and Kim get a shout out on the liner notes.
Nice.
I think of this album. I think there's a big list of influences, and it is. There is a sort of vibe of them being cultural magpies.
Okay. I think there's. I mean, I don't know if there's a snobbery like you would feel it. Well, there's definitely. We are the new guard. There's we are the people who have got the use of these new technologies, and we are making music for the future rather than looking back. I think there's that. There's not a dismissal of everything they've listened to, but there is a put right. That was that, and we are now.
Are you saying that they are the seed of the new breed? They will succeed. Their time has come.
Possibly.
I didn't know it would get this deep.
Who was that?
E17.
Is it? In that case, I'm definitely saying that. Man's a fucking philosopher genius.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would take exception to is I don't think they are trying to be the sound of the future. I think they're trying to be the sound. Well, I suppose they are by implication, but to me, it's the sound of the present.
Oh, right now.
It's
right
how
right now.
All this stuff's happening right now.
No, you're actually. That's
you saying that stuff's happening right here, right now?
I just made that joke.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I wasn't listening to you. Right. Okay. So yeah,
that's a fair summation actually, because it was
because this isn't future proofed.
No, absolutely not. No, well, some of the popular ones maybe, but no, that isn't.
No,
that definitely isn't.
No, I've listened to this and I've gone. I kind of feel bittersweet about this song because I like it, and I know that I would have liked it so much more as a 15-year-old.
Of course, yeah.
When I was, open to that at the time, and it's like, and for me, it's like, oh, this is a little bit of a missed opportunity, almost.
Yeah, well, we've talked about this a little bit before, where I'm a fan of Pop Leader Self, and you probably would have liked some of their stuff if you'd given them a chance at the time.
Yeah.
But you were into other stuff, so you didn't.
Yeah, this is the beauty of what music is today. For all of the faults and whatever the ubiquity of music and the devaluation of music, what you do now have is access to everything. Whereas at this time, because I didn't have a mate that was specifically into this, whereas I did have a mate who was specifically into NWA,
sure,
I had access to that record. So I didn't, I didn't have a frame for this. If I'd had some mates that were into this, we'd have got into it. I know this.
Or
is
if you'd
something.
sucked off a Radio 1 DJ in Panto.
Yeah, exactly. If I'd have let a radio DJ fix it for me.
Yeah. It could have been a different story.
I like the fact that Agent Justice got this far in his career, and he's like,
he's been untainted.
I've nailed it, and then you've just ruined it.
You say we have. You're the one sucked him off.
Yeah, exactly. He showed a little bit of kindness to
To
a young boy, and by kindness I mean his penis.
I went to a boarding school. There was very few adult figures in my life I didn't suck off.
And which is why we've got you to guest on this podcast.
Okay, so track 1, Dave, you're in. You're a
So
fan
I
of this?
thought you were calling me Dave Urich, which is my punk name.
Yeah, so you're good with this one. You like this.
Yeah, I like
this. You remember this well, obviously.
Yeah, and
but
I think I think
you're
it's,
straight back in.
I think this is aged. I love it.
Cool. I think it's okay. I think it does the job very well, because we've said on previous albums that they've had a shit opening track and it puts you on the wrong foot instantly.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely the right way to open this album.
Yeah. Although interesting, because you've discussed this in season 1 quite a bit about the idea of the statement of intent. So obviously NWA, Straight Outta Compton, like being the ultimate example.
Yeah.
But there's also, this album doesn't do it, but there is something said for the intro track that takes it slowly and then brings in the B, like like the Interpol albums.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Do that.
And that the Charlatans album that we talked about had a big, nice, softer intro one before getting into the meat of it, really. So I take your point.
But this is first song on the album, first song they play when they tour the album on stage.
Was it?
Pretty sure it is, and it's got
that would make sense.
It's got that vibe. But I think when I saw them tour this album, I'm pretty sure they did.
Did I see you've got a ticket with you?
Yes, I brought some.
Awesome.
Yeah, there you are.
Geez Jones, 26th of February 1991, Town and Country Club.
£7 advance price.
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw them on this tour as well. I don't have a ticket, but I looked it up, the date, and it was the 8th of February in Belfast. It was the day before album release.
Okay.
Because this is the tour with Soho supporting, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So her hippie chicks.
That's the one. Yeah. So I saw them there in a very...
used to super glue the things to their head. Got in trouble for saying that on Going Live.
Did they? I don't know
Remember
that.
they had sequins on their head, and they got asked about
I
it.
remember they had like sort of curly hair going upwards.
Yeah, and they had sequins on their head, and I'm sure it was Soho, and then one of them said, "How on a phone in? How did you get them on there?" And I'll be super glue the one I got in my eye, and then there was loads of
young kids did it.
press furore that someone had said you put super glue in your eye on.
That was the summer when we all put super glue in our eyes.
Yeah. Didn't do me any harm.
That's why I've only got one working eye to this day.
Well, yeah, I was at this same show. I remember thinking it was fucking brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was a sweaty mess by the end of it.
Okay, so we've spent the first hour on the opening track, so let's move on to track 2.
Okay, so track 2. So track 2 is Who, Where, Why, and this was a single. This was one of the singles. This is the fourth single.
This is this single.
Oh, Psy has the 7th single of this.
I think that's from Adrian Just, actually.
Really? Oh, so that's from the time you haven't
It's
picked it up.
covered in spunk.
Alright, so I get more sampling coming through.
Yeah.
It's a very kind of 90s synth sound underneath it as well.
I mean, yeah, this song has got some of my least favourite words you can apply to a song, which is a bit of an Eastern feel. That's trouble, isn't it? You hear those? If someone goes to you, I've recorded this, it's got a bit of an Eastern feel, you're like, oh, that's going to be shit.
Which would be wouldn't be so bad were the song not about questioning yourself as
It
well.
is,
It's a bit gap year.
I mean, Cooler Shaker would go on to crystallise that into a solid form of crystalline feces that we could all hate from a distance. I'm going to get some fucking kickback from about Cooler Shaker from you people, aren't I?
I think it got some brilliant songs.
Ah, you cunts.
I think he's probably a dickhead. But
Yeah, of course he is.
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, so it starts off. Right, starts off with that kind of who, where, what is. It's a little bit kind of first semester philosophy degree, isn't it? It's a little bit like that. Then we've got that. Was that samba rhythm that comes in on the sample?
There's definitely a lot going on, and they're not a band that you could accuse of like having a minimalist approach to their arrangements anyway. But this song to me there's just too much going on.
Yeah, all right, yeah.
You've got a keyboard that's kind of doing the same job as a bass line, and there's already a bass line, and it's
Right.
I agree with you to a degree. I think the reason I gave for sitting on this was that the production took a long time, right? That's the Wikipedia answer. They spent a long time mixing this album. I don't know whether that's true or not.
I don't know. I thought it was just the label Food sat on it, but I didn't. I didn't realise at the time that it'd been recorded a year before.
Okay.
I was buying the singles, but they came out every 6 months, but that wasn't unusual.
I mean, I think throughout this record, quite often, like the production is a little bit all over the shop. There's like kind of, particularly with some of the electronic elements, they haven't worked out where in the mix things should be sitting. So you've got things sitting like right up front in the mix, and you're like,
A bit jarring.
yeah, a little bit. Should this be right out there? But I actually think this song's, for all of the elements that are within it, I think there's actually some, like, structurally, there's a bit of restraint in this, and
Okay.
I think it does. It's got a pop sensibility to it that like this amount of stuff didn't necessarily ought to have. I think.
No, I thought at the time that of all those bands, Jesus Jones would be the ones that would keep on, because they're pop sensibility. I thought they'd keep on reinventing themselves. And,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm terrible at predicting when bands.
If only. Exactly, Wonder Stuff would have taken over the world.
Well, yeah.
And eat and cud, etc. Yes. I think this is okay. I don't necessarily see it as being a single, but it was the fourth one. They were kind of just fixed.
Yeah.
There are only 11 tracks on this album, so when you get to single 4, you are going, this will do.
Yeah,
This is fine.
totally.
I think this is the first time that because the first track where Mike Edwards is more of that raw, growling voice, this is more where he's sounding like Mike Edwards to me, or the Mike Edwards that now we know.
Yeah.
And so it is a cleaner sound in terms of that. I didn't think there was much of a chorus to this. I thought there wasn't enough to keep me. I couldn't sing this to you afterwards. And if someone went, oh, can you sing me that Who, Where, Why song? I'd be like, who am I? Where am I? Why am I? And you'd think I was just making it up, because that's not a chorus.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, I think I've probably got a broader definition than you of what a chorus can and shouldn't be, but...
Okay, well, it's the bit in the middle of the song. Yes, that's fair enough.
Prick.
But no, to me, this doesn't stand out as...
No, I know what you're saying. I mean, I quite like it. I've got that. And who am I? I've got that kind of caught in my head since I've been listening to it. So I do like this. I think I like it. By the sounds of things, I like this better than both of you do, which surprises me.
Yeah, I don't think this is brilliant.
I think, for me, like, the song itself is fine, but when all of these kind of disparate elements come together at the end, it's quite a glorious noise.
Right. Okay.
When everything's kind of almost where there is. You said that's too much, right? But almost where it is like way too much at the end.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. It's just like coming at you. I was listening to it in my headphones when I was walking the dog, and it just was like...
Is that a big attack of music?
Be interested to know if you feel that way when we get towards the end of the album.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the one thing I did pick up on this is the lyrics on this one. Obviously, the album is called Doubt, and he has said in interviews about why that is one of the reasons is that he'd come off the back of this big album. Now he was in the middle of interview hell. Everyone was wanting a bit of him, and he was starting to question whether he was what he thought he was. He's a bit of an imposter syndrome.
This is I've got imposter syndrome written.
Yes,
down
I really pick up on that. That the whole who am I? Did I do these things? Are they as good as I think? Am I as good as I thought I was? There's a real questioning of self in this.
And I've read a couple of interviews as well where he kind of talks about the virtues of doubt and the virtues of that, and how he was seeing a lot of kind of perceived arrogance from other bands, I guess because they're selling stuff.
Oh, right.
And he, some of this album is kind of about the virtues of feeling that way.
There's definitely a theme there, yeah.
And the first song, we didn't really talk about the lyrics in the first song, and we probably shouldn't give much more time to the first song, but there was a lot of stuff, kind of quite confessional lyrics in there, almost like about abusing someone's trust. Mm-hmm. It kind of seemed to be. It's like, okay, well, I've follow me. You followed me, but I've actually led you down the wrong path.
Right.
There's a lot of that in there. So there was a lot, definitely a lot of kind of a bit of kind of teenage self-reflection, a little bit of self-loathing, a little bit of self-doubt going on throughout this, which that would have been right up my street.
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, mate, that was my brand.
Yeah,
still is.
Tattooed right through you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, again, I think this is perfectly fine. It didn't really do it much for me, I must admit.
This is not my favourite one, first few listens, but when I listened to this through a couple of times earlier, I was getting into this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I like it better than you do.
I'm just looking at the 7-inch that size brought of this, and it says the Crisis Mix, the A-side, is production by Phil Harding and Ian Kernow for PWL. Really? As in Stock Aitken Waterman.
Yeah, I guess it must be. I'm not quite sure where the
production company they had.
How was that?
Oh, that is strange. I didn't know. I'm surprised Food Records let anyone from PWL touch it in terms of just trying to stay cool.
Maybe I could get it on the Hitman and Her.
And that's selling Jesus Jones records.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Right, track 3. Let's crack on.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the big one. TM, International Bright Young Thing.
This is the second biggest one. Is that Myra Hindley? Is that Myra Hindley?
That's Mike Edwards.
That's Mike Edwards. Mike Edwards looks like fucking Myra Hindley on the
Mate, who am I? Where am I? You're Myra Hindley, and you're in prison.
Sorry, this has started happening in the background, and I apologise, but Size handed me the 7-inch single of International Bright Young Thing, which is the next song, and I'm just going to describe it. It's like a kind of a weird swirl with either Mike Edwards or Myra Hindley's face on it. It's not clear. I'm being told one thing, my eyes tell me another. And then in the massive hair, there's the Panorama logo. So, good news. Oh, this has also got an Eastern flavour, hasn't it? I mean, this has got an Eastern flavour in the way that a bag of Walker's Hurray crisps have got an Eastern flavour.
So well.
Oh, I love this song.
Yeah. Even you remember this from the time then?
Oh, I had this.
Oh, right.
I bought this at the time.
Yeah. So this was the third single, and this is the single that was out as this was released. It was released in January 91, and then into the album.
Yeah.
Okay. And did you buy yours at the time, Si?
Of course. Yeah. Back then, you liked 10 bands, and you bought everything they did.
Sure. Yeah. Now this was hugely touted again by the Enemy, Melody Maker, etc. Another one where they were right behind them. Big. I think it's just a fantastic song still. I love
that intro. I think the way, because it's got, and again, they're all talking about the influences and the time in which they live. You've got that funky drummer break. It just goes, the intro is wonderful. Love it.
Yes. Yeah. I think it's a really catchy guitar lick that comes in as well. Production on this sounds nice and crisp and clean. It's not the mess that they wanted to do on the first one. I think this is absolutely a step up.
And a lot of this is, talk about making what you can of your voice. So much of this is sold by the way he inflects his voice in this, because, this is like you say, he's not a natural singer. This isn't a great kind of vocal talent, but this is someone that knows how to make his voice sound different and interesting. A real example of making the absolute most of what you got to work with, I think.
Fair enough.
Yeah. This is so difficult because this song is just like a sense memory. You kind of get swept up in the pace of it because it's relentless. It starts and it's over before.
The end. They don't mess about with endings, do they? They just stop. Just go burn.
But this is like, for me, this is Like I can smell pints of snakebite and black and tassel skirts and being young and fucking fingering someone in Mirage. Do you know what I mean? All of that stuff, man. Like Mirage is a nightclub in Luton, not a figment of my own imagination.
To be honest with you, I don't think it's the Mirage part of that sentence we're going to be focused on.
If you never fingered someone in a nightclub, then you weren't in the 90s.
Or in Luton. In Mirage.
In Mirage. Or me.
Yeah, indeed. On the receiving end from Dave.
It's fucking grim, isn't it, man? You know what I mean? Through a tassel skirt. But, so, it's just joyous, isn't it? It's a great youth.
It is, because it's an uplifting one, I feel, on this one. Even though lyrically, I still think there's a self-doubt running through this. There's a being pushed too hard very fast in terms of here's my fame, I'm suddenly everywhere, and yet there's do I deserve this and am I good enough? I think there's that still running through it, but to me it's still an uplifting feel to the whole thing.
This to me, that's the fuck it side of it. That's
Maybe.
Okay, this is the kind of, the rest of it's like the what do we do, and this is like the fuck it, you go with it, don't you?
Very possible. Yeah, it could well be that side of things.
Yeah, I was struggling to find a meaning beyond the very literal on this. Yeah,
I just think it's to do with. Well, I say he's young. He was 26 or whatever when he wrote this, so he's not an 18-year-old. He's not straight out of school. But this is the first time he's hit a real patch of mega fame, and he's getting flown to different countries to play, and he's getting talked to from all sides, from media everywhere. And I think it's just overall, it's like everything at once. All of a sudden, you're not used to this. Thrown into the spotlight, go for it. That sort of stuff.
It did feel like of those bands, they were the ones that seemed at the time quite at ease with that, and seemed easier to market than some of the other ones.
Well, the sense that I get from this, the whole movement, it's what I find quite interesting about, because obviously it was quite a anti-establishment movement in a way of like quite a. A lot of the visuals and the fact that it was, quite abrasive, but it actually didn't embrace this entire kind of pop sensibility as well. It's like you got other things going on. For example, you got like, industrial is happening parallel to this. You've got Ministry and KMFMD, and we'll maybe talk about some more of that stuff later. But you were never going to get a pop hit out of those bands, right?
No, of course not.
Not until the world changed, so you could have Psalm 69, which is not a pop hit, but this, it seems to me like a strange kind of like juxtaposition of like kind of being a little bit like kind of down with the man, but at the same time being quite happy to have pop success.
Yeah, and
do you know what I'm saying with this?
They were credible amongst that community. I mean, there was an interesting quote at the time from Mark Arm from Mudhoney when he was being asked about Nirvana and about how they broke it, and his answer was actually, no, Jesus Jones did that first.
Right.
Jesus Jones paved the way of Right Here, Right Now.
Yeah.
And then that was the first breakthrough.
Really, for a massive hit from
their peers. I guess. That was around about that interview was around at the time.
That's very interesting, actually.
Because you looked at them, and this was a group of kind of counter-cultural like skate rats, really.
Oh god, yeah. You look at the videos, and they are just those louts that you'd see hanging around, drinking cider in a park, and
I think these Jones are. They're a bit. I think they're a bit more clean cut than a lot of those bands. Well, I think
Mike Edwards is.
They're very fashionable. If you look at those videos, I mean, if you look at the videos of some of the other bands, there's a lot of leather, greasy hair and stuff. Whereas these guys, Stussy and Kangol, and they're
Vision Streetwear.
Yeah, I mean, they are skate, but they are they're definitely from a culture.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. But I must admit, because I watched the videos for this again recently, and by Christ, they look young and they don't really know what they're doing. They're just jumping around like absolute madmen.
Yeah,
it's joyous to watch because they're so just. Well,
I guess we do this thing.
Yeah, that's fine. But it does make me think of just. They look like teenagers to me because they don't know what else to do. They're not trying to be cool.
Yeah,
they are just being.
Yeah, I mean, the keyboardist barely touches his keyboard, does it? I mean, I remember them on doing real on top of the pops at the time. He's just grabbing it and chucking it, holding it in the air, and
Didn't EMF play like with boxing gloves on when they played Unbelievable?
They did, yeah.
Right.
I think the bassist did certainly. Yeah.
I went to see Jesus Jones a couple of years ago now with our mutual friend Adam.
Yeah.
Down in Brighton with Claps Long supporting.
Yeah.
And the keyboardist, I can happily report, is just as insane as he ever was.
Were they good live?
They were brilliant.
Were they really?
They were
Can you
terrific.
sing live? Because I listened to some of the live album.
Oh right, I didn't know there was one.
There's a more recent live album that's on Spotify.
Yeah.
And I listened to some of that and I went, oh.
Oh well,
No, nothing that you don't. It's the sort of voice where you don't notice it at the time live. It works perfectly well, but it doesn't necessarily
Translate.
translate to
yeah,
it.
I didn't notice it in that setting at all. But I was just happy to hear real again at fucking volume. It was brilliant.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
Okay,
Cool.
So,
yeah,
this single is a terrific single.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. This is, I mean, and as well, this is, you know, I mean, I think this is a song that stands up outside of nostalgia as well, doesn't it?
I think so.
I think you could play this to the youth.
Someone who'd never even heard of Jesus Jones.
And they might get something out of it.
Yeah, I think so.
What do you reckon?
I'm pleased to think. I'm pleased to hear you feel that way. I didn't. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, to me, it sounds sounds a little bit more of its time. Not as much as you know. One of the singles we'll come across soon. But I'm glad. I'll go with it. Maybe I'm too close to it to make that call.
I think there are people. Again, because I work in a pub and there's a load of 20-year-olds work there, and there's some of them are, you know, have never heard of the Beatles, right? But there's some of them who are really into Pearl Jam and Nirvana. I reckon I could play this to them, they'd probably never heard of Jesus Jones, and they'd be into it. I reckon so.
Okay, that's interesting. 'Cause, I mean, to me, I guess I hear so much of the dance aesthetic at the time, because these guys aren't afraid of like technology and dance music, and it's all the way through. So I don't know if that part of it would make it sound of its time, but
Maybe so. I don't know. I did think one of the lyrics was total bullshit in this though. It's towards the end where he goes, "Icicles dropping wishes while sun is making wishes while I gaze up there somewhere like a zombie." Yeah,
Yeah, I don't get
that's
it.
some fucking nonsense.
yeah,
right
that's
there.
some fridge magnet lyrics. That is.
Yeah, totally. The rest of the lyrics are make entire sense, but it just drops that in towards the end.
Maybe he just needed something to scan.
I think it might well be.
Either that or he'd done some acid.
Yeah. And the other thing I noticed about the video for this is that it's dirt cheap. It's fisheye lens and loads of people coming up to the camera and it's that classic indie psychedelic thing. Lots of swirling images, and then they put loads of bits of maps and globes in it. So it's international.
It's very on the nose.
Yeah. Someone got paid very little money to think of that. But no, it's good fun. It is good fun. I like this. Track number 4.
Burning.
I'm Burning.
Is it called I'm Burning?
I'm Burning.
I've just wrote down Burning. God, I'm lazy. We look John Carpenter territory.
Oh, that's a little bit.
International Bright Young the thing.
And now this vocal for me, this is a bit Spinal Tap's Bonehead, isn't it?
There's a lot of it with backward swooshing into it and stuff.
Have you, as I told you, you've watched F is for Family, have you? Because his son in F is for Family is in a band, which is just basically a fucking Hobbit metal band, and like the vocal in this is very similar to kind of the storytelling, like Dungeons and Dragons lyrics he does. I just couldn't stop thinking about this.
Yeah, so the vocal is weird because it's. I don't know what it was like in this year. It was like, Mike, do you know what your raspy voice needs? It needs loads of echo before and after to make it even more raspy and slow.
And if you could just speak like the villain from a children's film.
Yeah, the vocals are the bit that annoyed me about this. Overall, I think it's not much of anything. I kind of enjoyed the shout-long chorus toward the end.
It's a real writer's in the slow standard rock song as well.
I suppose, for them. But this is all build-up for me, not much payoff.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of got a fairly like rote indie schmindy kind of guitar lick, hasn't it? It's like it's got one of the most kind of. It's like you can recognise that. And it's like, okay, that's straight out of that kind of Stone Roses kind of.
Yeah, I
Charlton's.
liked the guitar when it came in. That was the bit that was like, okay, finally, there's something else I can focus on.
Okay, so I mean, lyrically, we're dealing with teenage insecurity and identity again, and obviously, we're dealing with that. It's quite important, I think, to kind of remember that we're dealing with the 90s, which is pretty much the home of toxic masculinity. Do you know what I mean? It was, it was a lot harder time to be a sensitive young man, I would say, in the 90s.
Yeah, and my kid would certainly come across like a sensitive young man.
Exactly.
I mean, I was getting more of a vibe of someone who's suffering in silence in a relationship.
Okay.
From this, and that it's eating him up inside. But that's what I got from it. It's a change of pace, which maybe the album needs. I mean, certainly compared to Liquidizer, which is, apart from one exception, that's still pretty noisy. It's
just
relentless,
solid. Yeah, true.
See, yes. I'm almost certain, right, that if I'd have had this record at the time as an angsty teenager, I would have told you this was my favourite track.
Oh, really? Okay.
This would have been the one that spoke to, like, kind of super angsty teenage Dave, right?
Fair enough.
Little more difficult to take it seriously when you've got a mortgage. It is. I mean, it just is. It's just one of those things. It's like, I look at this through the time and I go, I reckon this song might have meant the world to me as a teenager. I might have gone like, oh, this guy understands it, he gets it, and that kind of stepping stone. But, the fact of the matter is I'm, nearly 20 years older than he was when he wrote this song.
Yeah.
And, been through life experiences. So you can't... It's
entirely different.
That kind of lyrical content will never relate to you in the same way.
Would you like it more if it was called I'm Earning?
Yeah, I'm investing wisely. Yeah, I've learned my lessons, and I'm just really all I want to do is decorate. I'm creosoting. Right. Anyway, this is one of those things where I go, this is a bit of a missed opportunity because I loved this when I was younger, and I can appreciate it for what it is, but it's never going to speak to me in the way that it possibly
would at the time. Yeah. This is one of the ones that I didn't remember at all from not having heard the album in whatever amount of years it is. Listening to it again, I didn't remember this one bit.
It was one of the ones I didn't like at the time.
Was it? Right, okay.
And my feelings haven't changed
right.
a great deal, except for understanding its position bang in the middle of the record.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And I do have a note, I agree, it probably worked better live. So maybe it was written and included for that reason. I don't know.
So what we've established here is who would have been the biggest emo crybaby of us if we had been a teenage gang.
There's definitely a theme coming into this, Dave.
Yeah. I mean, I got it.
Krister and I are in a mosh pit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've decided not to come out for the night because your girlfriend's just chucked you. Can you sell my ticket, please?
We're going to settle this in the garden with the fight afterwards. Right, okay, so let's take a break, shall we?
Yeah, indeed. So we've done 4 tracks of 11. Let's take a break and then have a look at what is going on in the albums chart this week. Okay, so like I said, we are the first kind of week into February of 1991.
Okay, so we're going to do the albums.
The top 10 albums, we've seen some of these before, as always, but we'll go through just in case there's anything we need to say. Number 10 is Belinda Carlisle's Runaway Horses. Yeah, whatever, I'm assuming, was that her Heaven is a Place on Earth time? Or was
that was 88.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, was this Throw Down Your Arms or whatever it was?
I don't even remember that song.
Number 9, Robert Palmer, Don't Explain. Who knows what Robert Palmer was doing in 1991?
Well, not explaining.
Yeah, true. Was it his time when he's doing the one with UB40?
Oh God, let's not talk about
Who
that.
knows?
Let's not speak ill of the dead.
Number 8, Whitney, I'm Your Baby Tonight, which we have seen before.
Yeah.
7 is Elton John's Best Of, which we did.
In excruciating detail.
Yep. Number 6, Chris Isaak's Wicked Game. I remember having that album in the house, my mum and dad.
Okay, well, what was the? That'd be an ideal album for this. We're not doing it, so we don't have to. But does anyone remember that album? Was it an album?
I remember Blue Hotel and Wicked Game, which I think hold up pretty well. Actually, I've got a bit of a soft spot for those two songs.
I really like Wicked Game. I really like it. We were kind of talking about the video and. Jesus Christ, awakening experiences. But Wicked Game's a great song. I mean, I don't care for the hymn cover of it particularly.
Oh shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, what? There were some travesties going on back then.
But let's not get into slagging off him, otherwise people will message us.
That's true. We'll get some death threats from Finns. Will they finish?
I mean, they are finished now.
Well, yeah. Number 5, Dollar's Immaculate Collection, which we did as well.
Which establishes the greatest record ever recorded.
Number 4 is Sting's Soul Cages, which was last week's one. Number 3, Alexander O'Neill, All True Man.
All true, man.
He's moved on from lies.
Literally the worst superhero power of all time. As Jim Carrey would go on to demonstrate in the film Liar Liar.
And number 2 is Enigma's MCMXCAD.
Which we established how we felt about last week. How do you feel about it, Simon?
It's kind of an album for boring people, wasn't it?
Sal Dimois.
Yeah.
It's a...
Well, and that whole fucking Pure Moods CD that came
Pure
through.
Moods.
And I also can't disassociate it now from Tropic Thunder and the film the guy's in where he's the the love in the monastery between Robert Downey Jr. and MTV Kiss of the Year winner Tobey Maguire.
It lives on in infamy. Oh, dreadful shit. So yeah, there's your top 10.
Right, okay.
And I mean, this is obviously still a post-Christmas slump because there's nothing interesting going on there.
And also, clearly, our generation don't make up the large part of the record buying public.
Not yet. No. No, definitely.
So
not.
what's happening? What's happening in the rest of the world?
Well, the only other album I found that was, because again we were talking about 1 week here. Yeah, there's not a lot I can really focus on. But it was released the previous year, but a new entry at 72 in the album charts this week is Ned's Atomic Dustbin's Bite, which I'm quite sure Si has a memory of.
Oh well, the thing is, as an important Grebo at the time.
Yes, King Grebo.
Bite's a compilation of their early singles.
Yeah.
On 21 Records, or just their first record deal,
Yes.
I think. So I kind of had the stuff on it. I think it might have one extra track on it.
Well, and it's a couple of remixes, weren't there?
Maybe actually, yeah.
Kill Your Remix was on that.
Yeah, but that's on that's a B-side Kill Your Television.
Oh, was it a B as well? Right.
Yeah, which is great because I loved all the B-sides as well. So yeah, no, it
was a cash in from, like you say, the previous label because Godfather was released on different label.
Yeah, so Godfather was Furtive, which was their label, which was a kind of pretend indie of Sony, I think.
Right.
Would you have said things at the time like, well, yeah, that release is just for civilians?
Yeah, I didn't buy it.
I
had the singles.
Right, I didn't have any of the singles from that time. I had heard them in indie clubs and probably on the evening session on Radio 1 or whatever. Didn't own any of them, so Bite was a godsend for me.
Yeah, fair enough, because Kill Your Television blew my mind when it came out.
Absolutely, and the version on that is so much better than the Godfather version.
Yeah.
You know, that original.
Yeah, it's got the single bass pluck rather than the double bass pluck.
Yes, indeed.
Hang on, where are they from?
Let's Atomic Dustbin.
Yeah,
Stourbridge.
Okay. So
obviously.
Because I just heard you saying it, right? And I was just thinking, hang on, is Godfather, like, is it the Godfather said with a Northern Irish accent? Is that the origins of that? Godfather. Godfather Part 2.
I like that. I do like that. But if I'm honest, that is all I have for albums this week. It's not.
That is a fallow week.
Like, again, we're just seeing the slow climb back down the charts of a lot of ones that were big over Christmas.
Yeah, but you'd think that type of year would be when our favourite albums got released. Because
yeah.
no other fucker would buy them.
When we get to the singles, there's some shit in there. But
thank God for that.
Yeah, album-wise, nah, not really.
All right, back into the Juetos Juans.
Well, here we go. Track 5 on here. And this, as opposed to when I said it before, is the big one. This is Right Here, Right Now.
Kind of got a slightly Orby sample up front.
That's a Hendrix sample.
Is that Hendrix?
Yeah. And I remember this so well as well. As soon as this kicks in, I'm transported back to hearing this at the time.
So this is, I mean, like, literally, this is about kind of history changing in front of your eyes, isn't it? It's specifically like Perestroika and Berlin Wall.
It's about history changing in front of your eyes, and also sort of denigrating people who can't see that and are harking back to the 60s and talking about revolutions when look around you, it's happening right now. And
Right, I see.
if anything, this is kind of lyrically a reflection of Jesus Jones's kind of way they see the world, I think, because it is just about, isn't this fucking great where we are right now?
Can you believe we're lucky enough to be part of this sort of thing?
And at this point in time, they were fucking right.
Well,
Looking back now,
Jesus Christ,
yeah.
That's the interesting thing, isn't it? That this is the message in this song. It does remind me, and maybe it was just because I was, 15, or maybe it was more than that. But in that point in the early 90s, it really did feel like anything was possible. It did feel like, okay, part of that is obviously having your whole life stretched out in front of you and not having to deal with any of the responsibilities of adulthood. But also, things were changing in really positive ways. You had kind of rave culture coming through. You had kind of just all of these different kinds of... I look back at that period of the early 90s, all of the different type of genres that broke around that time and just were like kind of revolutionary, and you're not seeing that.
No, it was an exciting time. There was a new subgenre seemingly, once a month. I love it. And in fact, when I talk to my son about that era, he's kind of envious of that era in the same way that certain people of our generation were envious about the 60s.
Yeah.
Right, I see.
And the 70s as well, like within, kind of the rock world, the 70s was always, considered quite a halcyon period. But there was so much great stuff going on, and like you say, this song is... it's lovely, isn't it?
It's a brilliant tune. They've written a massive hit with this.
Yeah.
It's got everything. It's got the vocal works for it. It's got a huge build up to the chorus. The chorus is instantly memorable. A big old hook.
Yeah.
And lyrically, it is
I think
it's a joy.
I think also just production-wise, it doesn't put a foot wrong. It's got it's got everything where it needs to be. They don't throw in too much stuff. If anything, I think I actually like it more now than I did at the time.
I would agree with that. I suspect I thought it was a little bit lame.
Was it one for the girls?
Yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, and it was because it was a crossover, whatever, and they had a hit with it. I wanted to hear more about the Info Freako side of Jesus Jones.
Yeah,
and in fact, I brought along. I bought this 12-inch of Right Here Right Now at the time.
Nice.
Purely because it has the Info Cycle remix of Info Freako on the B-side.
Nice.
I remember being in the shop going, I'd heard Info Psycho on John Peel, in fact, the only time I listened to John Peel by then. I wasn't cool enough for that. But I heard that and then found that was the B-side, and that's why I bought this 12-inch. It wasn't for Right Here Right Now.
I will take your civilian re-release of Right Here Right Now.
Yes.
That came out in July 91, and I'll raise it with the original 1990 7-inch and the 10-inch, which came with this limited edition booklet.
Oh, is this where the booklet's from?
Yes.
Yes, showed me this booklet earlier on, which is
thumbed.
One of the fucking cheesiest things I've read. This is absolute smash hits, little info grabs on all of the members.
It's chart show graphics.
That's where this is from.
Looking magazine.
Wow. Oh, I see. Okay, so this is it. And give me the 7. What's on the big?
So I presume that was a live program. I've got like Guns N' Roses live programs that look a bit like that.
Right. Brilliant. Let me just read some of this though. Or no, sorry, actually, you brought it. You read it. Well, some of the, I was reading this earlier on. This one, where it's going through. There's a little section on each of the members and some info about them. I'd love to hear this, please.
Okay, so what? As in the one from Jerry, this one here.
Yes.
So this is from Jerry, the guitarist. The best way to neatly summarise Jerry's character is to refer you to the neat line in T-shirts "The De Borg is running this summer," bearing the slogan "English Beer Boys Tour of Nepal 1990." His hobbies include ducking and diving, bobbing and weaving, and chasing the backs of lorries. Gel is sorted.
Wow.
Oh wow. Fucking hell.
It's glorious.
Also, and Barry here. Barry was the last member.
Barry. Let's take a step back. Barry.
The interesting thing about Barry is that's not even his name.
No.
His name's Ian Baker, but he called himself Barry D. And he's got...
Stop getting hip-hop wrong, Barry.
As you may have gathered from his written ravings, Barry is a rather impressionable young man who is currently under the impression that he starred in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh, no.
Barry is like totally awesome dude. The type of person who, as a kid, would try and climb up the sides of buildings just like Spider-Man. He's verily a full-on gnarly shredder.
Verily.
But But he was manager of Slam City Skates in Portobello Road.
Oh, was he really?
So for the record, that's cooler than we've ever been.
Oh yeah, for sure, mate, for sure. I used to shop in Slam City Skates in Portobello Road and get looked at with disdain often.
Perhaps by Barry D.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm amazed that Food Records let that come out, because that is not surely the image you want for Jesus Jones. And B, I'm amazed that Jesus Jones let that come out, because that just makes you sound like a cunt.
Krister straight to the heart of it there.
This is why I say that they were the first band I think that could get marketed in that way. By that,
so.
But yeah.
It just surprised me, because you're coming off the back of Liquidizer and you're sort of hardcore of fans, and you release this sort of little, very well produced, glossy. It's not a fanzine because it's too well produced for that. It's whatever it is for 12-year-old girls to go, oh, Mike Edwards, isn't he so nice?
That's what you get for being the only Grebo band who aren't ugly as fuck.
Well, okay, no, true.
Essentially.
You could not do that with Neds or Wonder Stuff or Poppies.
Yeah, and apologies to... Well, I mean, the Poppies obviously know how ugly they were. That was their USP for a couple of years.
But okay, so back to the song itself. This is brilliant, and this made the band. You know, for this therefore defined them for the rest of their career.
No, this is what made them an enormous. I mean, well, I would imagine that they've all got. Well, I'd imagine Mike Edwards has got a house that this song paid for.
Well, weird. I mean, this isn't the song that got number one in the week we're talking about it, because this just fell off the radar on the first release.
Well, true. Yes,
it's it became a hit in about sort of 5-6 months after the album came out in the States.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, it's their legacy kind of now, but at the time, their success wasn't built on this.
No, true. At the time, especially in the UK, it wasn't at all. But it just picked up such a huge second wave in America that they couldn't come back from that. That's now what you do.
Yeah.
Or, well, it absolutely wasn't what they did for the successive albums. But when you think of Jesus Jones, I think people think of this sort of thing.
And to be fair,
This sort of thing. I love it when you say that.
and I think if you could be remembered, no matter who you are, for writing one great song, that's not bad. I honestly think this is a great song.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a great song. It's absolutely great. Yeah, you kind of got these kind of keyboard horns running through it. You've got. I mean, I presume they were keyboard horns. I doubt they brought an actual.
They sound synthy, don't they?
Yeah, you've got to be.
And you actually kind of drops in this little high register. I mean, it doesn't do it for long. You get the impression he can't do it that
Where the
much.
fuck does that come from? That falsetto when he says "Sign of the Times."
Yeah. It's just like, oh, okay. He does it one more time in this record somewhere as well, and it's just like, oh, okay, you've got that in you, but either you can't sustain it or you.
But they're also a studio band. Yeah. So who knows what's happened there?
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, because he sings Sign of the Times. Interestingly, the song originally, in the original version, it had the bass line and drum from Sign of the Times.
Oh, what, the Prince songs?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah, because they said this was kind of their... Well, that song, his Sign of the Times, was almost a launch pad for them to write this, wasn't it?
Oh, is it?
Because it was obviously Prince talking about all the bad stuff and negative stuff that was going on, and they wanted to do a version where it was joyful and optimistic. So that's why they used the initial sample.
This is basically David Cameron's Big Society.
Hug a hoodie.
Yeah, exactly.
But to do with the sample that they did originally have in it, they were warned when they went to produce this song by the producer. He'd just been stung for a different song.
Yeah.
He got royally fucked for using a sample he didn't clear.
He got royalty fucked.
Hey, nice. And so they took it straight out. They took that Prince one straight out.
I mean, even after...
Because you would have been royally fucked by Prince.
Oh, God. Oh, it never ends.
Oh, fuck off, doubloons.
But because I mean, even as you're seeing now, Prince is still stinging people for millions years after his death because someone's just got done for not releasing a Prince song that they recorded or something, or used a Prince song.
Weird.
Well, he's just his producer released an EP in theory without authorization, didn't he? That's happened this week, and then the state have sued them. So, yeah.
So it got taken out, but it was obviously the right thing to do. This one, like you said, it didn't do much in the UK. It peaked at 31. It wasn't a hit over here at all. But then it got to number 2 in the States. Kept off number 1 by Bryan Adams. Everything I do for you. So,
yeah.
It was that time.
As if we didn't need enough reasons to not like that.
Oh, Christ. That album didn't get us number 1, did it? It's just a single. We haven't got We haven't got this album. We haven't got. I can't listen to that whole album.
I can't imagine it didn't.
It's not in 1991.
Well, it might have didn't then.
No,
Look into my eyes.
we're lucky. But the single for this one, for Right Here Right Now, sold over 1 million copies in the States and was the most played song on college radio in 1991.
Wow.
So fucking massive.
Yeah.
And then it was used in Bill Clinton's presidential campaign in 1992. It just took off, and that's why I say their career, the trajectory was insane after that. Over there. It's so big, in fact, this is a big fact I found out, it's so big that there is an album, you know the band Steelers Wheel, who did Stuck in the Middle with You?
Yeah.
For some unknown reason, they released an album in 2016 of cover versions, only 8 tracks on there, and it's stuff like Tracks of My Tears, Dust in the Wind, Get Ready, Four Tops, all this sort of stuff. Classic stuff. And they do a version of this Right Here, Right Now.
Wow.
And they don't do anything particularly interesting with it. It's a straight down the line cover version, but it's so much in the pantheon that it's now up there with classics, apparently.
And how does it translate to a kind of more of a band kind of sort of sound? Because it's such, again, it's the production stuff on the Jesus Jones version.
Yeah.
It's so clean.
Well, it sounds like this.
Oh, it's shit then.
To be honest, I don't think it sounds far away from the original. They haven't done anything really much with it.
No, if you said this is Jesus Jones playing acoustically,
Yeah.
I probably would have got it, I think.
Yeah, I just find it very strange that if you're going to choose to release an album of cover versions, and you've obviously got the entire world of music to choose from, you got, oh, well, we'll definitely do that Jesus Jones track, though. Fine,
Yeah.
do it.
And it's a bit of money for, Jesus Jones.
I suspect it's a tiny bit of money. It's one of the smallest bits of money they ever saw.
There's to the point where they're no, mate, you keep that. Again, Mike Evans is working in Burger King and he still doesn't need it. He's not, I don't think. Is he?
No, they've got the album.
I know he does a bit of writing for bicycle magazines. I interviewed him once upon a time.
Okay.
Okay, well, yeah, no, big success on that one. I'm more than happy to hear that again. I haven't heard that in a while, if I'm honest, because I haven't sorted out. I really enjoyed listening to that.
Yeah, really like that one.
Good. Okay, then. Next track is number 6, Nothing to Hold Me. That's an early 80s electro hip-hop beat there.
Yeah.
There's quite a few hand claps on this album, isn't there, actually?
Bring me your own applause. Got these atmospheric chords coming through here.
A slow build.
It's like a theme to the Equaliser.
I love the theme to the Equaliser.
Yes, I'm right.
Is it? You say Equaliser, you've gone with that. I have it, this is like a downbeat scene in Beverly Hills Cop. You know, we're searching at night through the streets.
Yeah, it's definitely got that kind of...
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a soundtrack thing to me. You're right.
Yeah. And then we've got the vocal.
Yeah, we've got the vocal.
Yeah, I don't think this vocal works actually at this point. Let me play a bit more. We get into that.
Well, we need the vocal.
I changed my name and you changed your mind.
Yeah, so now we've got the vocal. Yeah, and look, we've got this kind of proto-British rap kind of spoken word.
Yeah, it's from the West End Girls side of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've literally written here more Pet Shop Boys than hip-hop.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. This hasn't dated well, has it? This... I don't think.
I don't think that vocal works at all. No.
Although we probably should just take a moment to be grateful that he hasn't done it in an American accent.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
that's
true.
that is definitely one in the plus column. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a bit sixth form poetry, this whole bit, isn't it, as well?
Yes. Yeah. Do you think that he thought... I mean, again, who is that on vocals? Do we know?
That's Mike Edwards, I think.
Is that Mike Edwards?
Well, okay, no, I've always presumed it was Mike Edwards.
Well, hang on, I mean, it sounds like the guy's quite sorted. Could it be...
I assumed this was one of the other band members because then the chorus bit is obviously Mike Edwards where he comes in after that.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was the
maybe.
keyboard player or some shit. Give him a go. I don't know. But, it could be. But do you think that he thinks he's actually rapping? Or do you think this is more like a
Well, no, it's. I mean,
storyteller?
It doesn't sound dissimilar from some of the rapping on like the slower Pop Will Eat Itself songs.
Yeah, I thought this sounded like a worse version of the ones I like that Pop Eat Itself do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Lyrically, I didn't have a clue what he was talking about.
They're awful.
I tried.
These are
I didn't know.
dog shit.
I just didn't know what it's about.
No. No, it's all over the place. There's not anything coherent about it.
No, and I wonder if, because around this time their B-sides were they've got some really good B-sides around this time that are very much more classic Jesus Jones, and I think it's one of those ones where they've almost sort of like chucked out a better song and brought in a not so good one to sort of make the album have a bit more of
An up and down.
Exactly,
It's
a bit more
not
of a
just
journey.
one. Okay, well that's entirely possible. Or
Look, I mean, all I wanted to do when I was listening to this is I was like, look, mate, I can rewrite this for you and I can make this scan properly.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can do it. There's a bit at the end, particularly at the end of the first verse, where he just goes and just stop it, and it's like, oh mate, that's so bad, so bad.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Shut up or get out, or whatever it is.
Oh, it's all so bad. It's all just like, oh mate, just stop this, please. So yeah, and then and then it kind of goes on. You've got a little bit of a kind of white boy blues noodle, and then it goes all a bit kind of jammy, and I just feel like this one just feels like it thinks it's a lot cleverer than it actually is. This song, it's like
they think it's deep, but it's not. It's
like for me, this is like being, if you've ever been in a jam room with a band and you're playing and you all got stoned, right? You've all got stoned and you kind of jam onto something and you lock into a groove and you're like, oh yeah, we really got on something there. Yeah, we really hit it.
Yeah, the guitar's being made up as it goes along with just some like, wow, yeah.
And you're like, fucking hell, that was brilliant. Then you listen to it the next day when you're not stoned anymore. Like, oh, that was shit.
Right.
It's like they've skipped day 2.
it's just like got instantly released and they're like, oh well, fucker.
Yeah. But the record company needs the demo tonight.
Got the FedEx man's here. It's just a bit too po-faced. I don't get po-faced out of these. I get that they take their craft seriously, but a lot of it's quite good fun, and it just seems a bit po-faced and a bit like self-important. I don't like that one at all.
No, this is a low point for me, this one. I think, to be honest, I think they should have left this off. Even if it meant it was only a 10-track album, I think this completely disrupts everything on the...
Yeah,
and 10 tracks is the right length for it.
10 tracks is perfect.
I think 11 tracks is actually the perfect length for that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we have a special on that.
I've actually already been in a podcast special about this exact topic. 11 was what I came to.
Wow.
Fair enough.
Definitely right. Plug that at the end because I want to listen to that. I think move on from this from 6. I got fuck all else to say about that. That isn't going to be repeating how bad it is.
No, agreed.
Right, good. And also it means that I get to play track number 7, which is Real.
Real to real, featuring the Mad Stuntman.
Oh man, this song makes me so happy.
Yeah. I love that sample. Everyone was using it at the time, weren't they?
That's from the acapella of Back to Life.
Ah, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't know that at all. Ooh. Yeah. From
However do you want me?
The acapella that annoyed the shit out of me when I bought that album. No, this is fucking astounding, this song.
Yeah, I've just written love in big capital letters.
Yeah.
But this is great, man. It's fucking big outsider anthem.
And this was the first single from this album, wasn't it?
Yes, correct.
So,
and it was actually also the first 7-inch single that I ever bought.
Really?
In this limited edition thing here with some
Some art cards.
some prints of the other singles.
And look, what they've got on them is blue tack stains where they've been on your teenage wall.
Yes, absolutely. Totally.
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, that is great. That's nice packaging. I will give them...
That's a nice package.
I'll give them... I'm not a big fan of the logo or the style, but they have run with it and everything matches everything else.
No, it's also... The weird about the logo is you've got 2 different J's, and that still upsets me to this day.
Oh, yeah.
They've not even got one font.
That's bizarre.
But probably not interesting enough for a radio podcast.
You say that, have you heard some of the shit we do? My intro to this song, right?
Oh, he's bought the tape.
I've got a tape. You know when you're 14, 15 and your mates are making tapes and you're swapping tapes. Yeah. So I've got a tape that was made for me by a friend of mine back in 1990. You were in Panto. I was in a circus at this point, okay? And there was a guy who was an older bloke and he had really good taste in music, introduced me a lot of shit. And this is a blinder of a tape. Public Enemy, Fight the Power. Jesus Jones, Real. Blade, Lyrical Maniac, De La Soul, Cold Cut.
This is a cool tape.
Mate, that is a banger. I go into so many different things because of this tape.
Absolutely, mate. Do you know what, man? Like at this point,
It's the first time I heard Real
Jungle
Rubber.
Brothers, What You Waiting For? This is wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a snapshot.
If only I'd had an older man to suck off, I'd have had a better taste in music.
You're lost, my friend.
JVC Force,
No, it
Lakeem
was the
Shabazz.
first time I ever heard any of that sort of thing, because that was more obscure than the De La Soul that I knew.
Oh, for sure, man.
But yeah, this is the first time I heard Real, and I was in love with it from the word go.
And I think Jesus Jones would be pretty happy to find themselves in that list.
I think so. You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, Ruthless Rap Assassins. Jesus Christ.
Is that the one with Kermit in from Black Grape?
Yes, it was.
Yep.
But we won't hold that against him. He's probably, in hock to Sean Ryder for buying drugs.
There is some Morrissey on there, and it's misspelt Morrissey.
Oh, it's probably me.
These were more innocent times, Dave.
That's my writing on there, because I copied off him.
Piece of shit. I love that you still got that, man.
I still love it, and I still remember that very fondly.
I remember seeing this on Top of the Pops and thinking the bassist had fucking cool hair.
Oh no, was it dreadful hair?
No, I'd still argue it's pretty fucking cool.
Okay, all right.
It was like undercut up here
Yeah.
and then bleached like that, and he just moshed insanely throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
He just looked fucking cool.
You never had a proper hairstyle like that, did you?
I used to have undercut to about there,
Did you?
then sort of as long as I was allowed to grow it at school.
For school,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
I had long undercut hair.
Did you?
Yeah, well, I didn't have long undercut. I had shoulder length hair and I had that undercut, and then I bleached all of it.
Amazing. Absolutely brilliant. So this was out in June 1990. It only peaked at number 19 in the UK charts, but it got to number 4 in the States. I'm assuming there's a re-release after Right Here, Right Now.
No, I think that was. I presume that was at the time.
I don't know.
I was surprised to see that as well, actually. That it
Yeah, that was a big deal for that. Maybe it was. Maybe that was kind of the introduction to the States, and then Right Here, Right Now kicked them up to number 1.
Yeah.
I don't know, but this is probably my favourite Jesus Jones song, I'd say.
Yeah,
It's a massive, great pop tune,
It's
isn't it?
beautifully done.
Of all the songs on here, it is the one that is the most of its time in terms of that sound.
Right.
But yeah, no idea.
It's got the Amen break in the middle of it somewhere, isn't it?
It's got everything.
Yeah.
And this, again, whenever I saw him live recently, this was the one that stood out. It's got such a big chorus. Such a cute... That little descending bit.
Yeah.
It's so well done. Love it.
Does he still have the same like vocal affectations in it?
I was a bit drunk.
Couldn't tell you. That does surprise me. No, I love this, man. Like that whole thing, that outsider anthem, feeling like kind of other.
Yeah.
Finding your tribe, kind of. Yeah, those big break beats that run through it, those lovely drum machine fills. And then just that, like you were talking about the ending before, this song just ends perfectly as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good, man. So I love this song. Funnily enough, this was one of the songs when, you know, when iTunes first became a thing, and you were like, "Oh, hang on a minute, I can get these songs and I can just have them." Mm-hmm. This was like this was one of the first songs that I was like, "Oh, okay." I'll buy one of the first songs I digitally bought as a single.
Really?
Yeah, I was like,
Brilliant.
I really want this song. I don't have it.
Brilliant.
I don't know about you, I'm surprised how much Dave likes Jesus Jones.
I'm stunned. I was expecting a slating from the start.
I thought I'd be making the case for Grebo.
We're arguing against it. He's going, no, I like that one. I like that one. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
And I say Grebo, but this is pop, isn't it?
Well, this is definite pop.
No one is more surprised at how much I like this than I am. Again, this makes the case for listening to these albums a few times. Because, I got up to I think like listen number 5 today, and I was like, oh, I'm really into a lot of this. Yeah, it's always something to talk about, but yeah.
Because normally I find that, I mean, as you mentioned on a previous episode, it's so hard to go back to stuff you might have missed. It just doesn't. Yeah. You've lost the moment.
Yeah, it doesn't resonate in the same way.
And I will say that, I mean, that is my overriding thing with this as well. I do like this, but it does. No matter how much I like it, it does feel like a missed opportunity to me. I do go like this is probably the missing link record. This particular record, had I had this,
I see.
and I wanted it at the time. But you'd only have so many records, and there was other stuff that I wanted more. And I reckon if I had this, this probably would have opened up, because I know exactly what I'd have done. I'd have gone into that thanks or the influences thing that you mentioned, and I'd have been, oh, what's this? Because that's what I did with hip hop. That's how I kind of grew with hip hop. I'd get an album, go through the sleeve notes, try and get whatever I could, and I'd have probably done the same with this. This record is probably the reason that I have a relationship with indie music that I do.
That's such a strange thing to think about.
And have you listened to any of their other albums?
Jesus Jones. No, I will though. I will.
Listen to Liquidize is really, really good. There's nothing like the variety on here.
Yeah.
But it's that Trust Me sound, but a bit cooler, and you can kind of almost hear Ollie's being pulled.
Popped.
Yeah.
I think you find your pop and Oz.
Yeah.
Idiot. Yeah. All right. Cool. So we're 3 for 3 on that one, are we?
Yeah, mate. That's one of my favourite bits. Absolutely brilliant. Love it.
I would say that's my high point on the record as well. So where are we?
So now up to track 8, which is Welcome Back Victoria. This is different again, in a different style.
There's a problem with this song, but once I heard it, I couldn't get past.
Okay.
This is just Love Cats.
Oh, I see what you did.
Oh, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I see that. But I really like this song. I don't remember this from the first time at all, and I ended up really liking it.
I don't mind this.
Yeah.
But it's Love Cats with a breathy vocal, and it's not as good as Love Cats.
Okay.
That's the problem I've got with it, as an honest.
Yeah, no, this is one in which they've sort of digressed from the normal sound, and I think it works. And it's been written on acoustic guitar, and they've gone, let's just not do too much to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lyrically, it's a bit different from the other stuff. It's obviously about the return of sort of prudery and old-fashioned ideals.
The Victorian values,
yeah, exactly.
Farageism.
And that lyric at the end, which I looked into, there's a lyric at the end which is, on Commercial Street, be careful who you meet, but you're alright, Jack. And Commercial Street was essentially Spitalfields, so it's where all the noisy working class people went to get away from the city.
Oh, right.
So I guess the sort of Victorian ideals is presumably like the city, and Commercial Street is, and it says, but you're alright, Jack, and I presume that's a reference to Jack the Ripper.
I was going to say that's like Jack. Alright, okay.
Clever enough.
Interesting.
A bit of Victorian history there.
That moustache isn't just for show.
This is where I keep my top hats. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about that one.
I like the whole thing. I like the fact that it is more stripped down. There aren't any samples. There's no big drum breaks. It's a totally different sound. I think it's actually got a nice little tune to it. I think it's interesting what they're saying about this creeping back in of close-mindedness and people wanting to shut you down for whatever you think you can do. They're trying to close that down. And this presumably was at the same sort of time as acts like NWA and whoever, was it Slayer as well, got those stickers on the albums, the Tipper Gore.
Oh, back in the days when that felt like a really important cause.
It was a huge deal that this thing had come through.
And that we were angry even about stickers on the albums, which in hindsight doesn't seem that unreasonable compromise.
No.
And the funny thing is, like, did you watch the HBO documentary about Dre and Jimmy Iovine? What was it called?
Oh,
the Defiant Ones.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they fucking loved those stickers. They were like, this is a license to print money. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
That whole time it felt like culture was under attack. You had Jello Biafra being taken to court by the PMRC.
Yes.
For penis landscape. Again.
Well, I mean, you had like Judas Priest in court about satanic lyrics.
Of course,
backwards. Oh my god.
Yeah, there was a lot of that sort of thing. So I'm not saying this was an answer to that, but this was all going on at the time. That was part of the cultural soup.
Yeah, and also there was a generation gap at that point, which there probably isn't to the same degree now. Yeah. In terms of culture. So there was a sense that you were defending culture from older people.
Yes, indeed. Well, this is another one where I thought there was we are the future. So stop trying to impose your views on us.
And what's quite interesting now is we almost have a vaguely similar problem from a completely different perspective at the moment with, and I'm not getting into the whole kind of free speech versus identity politics conversation, but there is definitely a whole conversation about whether the ability to police ourselves on the internet is just basically virtue signalling and.
Well, I think that's why it's become it's been very difficult to have that debate in modern times because the vocabulary that we use is from this era when it was simply you're telling us what we can't say, you're the baddies, we're the goodies. And there's a point at which our generation have become the older generation because we that sacrosanct idea of free speech. Now there's a genuine case for saying actually it's not quite that simple.
Yeah, you can't say it.
And this harks back to simpler times.
Absolutely, and there was a conversation. It's all about the nuance, which is about I still want to be able to speak freely, and I want the context that words are said in to be important. Whereas there are certain kind of forms where it's like, okay, well, anything you say, you're going to get jumped on and taken out of context. I'm not the kind of the libertarian free speech advocates. That's not really where I come from in this conversation. But I find the inability to communicate at the moment with all of the communication tools available is quite interesting. I think that's that's probably too deep for our fucking podcast about pop music and farting. But
It's not just because you fart in it doesn't mean the podcast is about farting.
Podcast, Simon. I think you find it's about whatever I want it to be. Anyway, right. Yeah.
Okay, so Dave not so keen necessarily.
Like I say, I don't hate it,
Right.
but
Blah.
Yeah, that's not my favourite one on there.
So
If they're gonna insist on having like a change of pace and they can't make any more right here, right nows, then okay, fine, go for it.
yeah, I do. I like this one. I think this works very well. My only issue with I'd like it if there was a bit more of a payoff because it does rise and rise, and there's kind of an end bit where it builds, but it doesn't properly crescendo for me. It goes up and up and up and then just stops. But for the bit that's there, I actually really enjoy it.
It's a festival campfire acoustic guitar song that's been produced.
And let's point out that if anyone ever comes to a festival with us, is around our campfire and brings an acoustic guitar, that acoustic guitar is going to become part of the campfire.
Yeah, that's never worked well for anyone that's come past our side.
Yeah, don't.
I've got that really. Yeah, in fact, I think I've been there when that's been attempted.
Don't start that shit. Don't come around with your hippie shit. Don't do it to me. Don't. I mean, my friend Craig put his fist through someone's bongo once. It was the happiest moment of my life. Shout out to Craig. Fucking psychopath. Right, we love him.
Right,
okay. Is it singles time?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's track 8 of 11 we've done. So let's take another break and go into the top 10 singles for this week.
We're singling, baby. Go ahead, baby.
Top 10 singles for this week. And there's some good stuff in here. There's some absolute fucking crap. Number 10. Let's start off with a particularly shit one. Let's see if you get this from the intro.
Oh, this is play that funky music by Vanilla Ice.
Yes, it is. And this is utter dog shit. I listened to this just because it was part of this and I was going to have to play it. Oh, is this better than I remember? It's much, much, much worse.
Of course it is. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, they wouldn't have even played that in your pantomime.
Ice Baby is the only hip hop song to which my wife knows all the lyrics.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Good grief. Shout out to Becca, who is sitting, well, within hearing distance, but we won't.
Becca, could you come in here and do all the lyrics to Ice Ice Baby for us? Alright, let's do between us. Alright, stop, collaborate and listen. Ice is back. I've got a brand new...
You're in shit now, isn't it?
I've got a habit of doing it. Right?
Number 9. I'm not even going to play this. Rick Astley's Cry for Help. Anyone remember that at all?
I mean... that writes itself, doesn't it?
Oh, it's too many inappropriate jokes. I wish he had succeeded.
Your mind just goes racing. You're like, look, it's right there on the table in front of me. There's nothing. That doesn't need anything else.
Yeah, I don't remember that one bit.
No. I mean, neither does he.
Yeah, I suspect he doesn't play that as part of his greatest hit tour.
Oh, his greatest hits tour is him playing I'm Never Gonna Give You Up 8 times.
Yeah.
And then pretending to play something else and then cut into a video of him doing that.
It's him literally rickrolling an entire audience.
Alright, number 8 though, and we did mention this.
Here's it.
Yeah. And I remember loving this. This was the first time I'd ever heard that riff.
I was going to say, that's the main reason to love it, really, isn't it? It's a good pop song, though.
Oh yeah, terrific. Yeah.
I mean, how did the Smiths let him get away with this? They must have...
This was recorded in 1998. This was before people really were clamping down, wasn't it? It was on the cusp.
No, we've just had that conversation about that Prince song, so... Do you know what I mean?
But it's true, I don't know.
Yeah, and we're not talking about, a sample that's been played around with or messed or chucked in the middle of a song. It's the song.
It is the entire song,
yeah. But that's the harder thing to pass, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
Well, exactly.
Yeah, don't know.
Right, sorry. I thought you were arguing against me. I'm used to dealing with this fucker.
Can you name me any other Soho songs?
No.
Of course not.
No.
Of course fucking not. No, one-hit wonders realistically, but I think that's a terrific. That's one of the ones that if you were watching, do you remember 1991? You know, Talking Heads one with probably Stuart McConey spouting on about something. Soho is a perfect one for that.
Yeah. Well, they do a sci-fi film and someone travels back to 1991 and that's playing in the background in the blockbuster video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just seen Captain Marvel.
I think with a song like that, you've got a danger in the same way if you make it with a cover. That if you make it with a song that is essentially someone else's song, it sort of doesn't mean that everyone's going to like your next song because it wasn't really you that they loved particularly. So
it's a
little something we call the credit to the nation effect.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, call it what you want. I'll call it a one-hit wonder.
Number 7. And that's fucking 1990s as all hell.
It's just got oh yeah.
Oh my god, this is so bad. Oh, I know what this is as well.
Oh, you'll definitely know it.
Oh, I love you. Oh, what is this? This is Kylie Minogue.
Yep. That's definitely Kylie.
Yeah, it's that PWL
factory made.
What's the word?
Not better than
that
W
disco
now, is
sound.
No, it's
No.
High energy. That's their sound.
Yeah.
What's the song called?
What Do I Have to Do?
Oh, I don't even remember that one.
What do I have to do to get it through to you?
Oh, I do remember that now. Nicely delivered.
Thanks very much.
Oh, I didn't know you
What
said.
do I have to do to make you love me? Love me.
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah, I fucked it. Number 6 though. This is classic. You'll absolutely know this straight away.
Oh, this is I Believe by EMF.
Yes, mate. Yeah.
This is a good song.
Indeed. Yeah. I've got the 12-inch of this. I really enjoy this.
I mean, EMF were an interesting one because they were connected to Jesus Jones in the sense that the sort of snooty Jesus Jones fans, we'll call them me,
right?
For the sake of argument,
we're a bit like
EMF with their pop Jesus Jones sounds, like Jesus Jones of thrash metal.
Oh yeah, the sellout side. Because they had one massive hit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, I Believe, I think, is a great tune. Yeah. But it was, I'm serious, it's trite to say it now, but it was so bizarre that they had Unbelievable and then I Believe. And then they also did I'm a Believer with,
they did, yeah,
with Riggs and Mortimer.
Yeah.
It's like, mate, you've got a very narrow path you're applying here. You're going to run out of titles very soon. Number 5, I couldn't find on Spotify, but that's okay because it's by Praise Only You, and it's another one that sounds like Enigma. Oh. It's boring shit.
Move on.
And it was on Pure Moods.
Pure Moods.
Number 4.
Rage is a mood.
Anger is an energy.
Anger is a gift.
Oh man, total aside here. Public Image Limited played in Northern Ireland a couple of years back now. And if you know your geography in Northern Ireland, you got Belfast,
which of course we all do.
Of course you do.
If Brexit tells you anything, it's over here. You literally know nothing and care nothing about your nation and its descent into war.
Yeah. You got Belfast, and then to be honest, the rest of the country is mostly just fields. There's pockets of whatever. But about 10 miles outside of Belfast, there's a place called Bangor, which is where my gran lives. Some bits.
Krister's grandmother. Banger.
And there's literally nothing going on.
So I'm going to need longer. I'm glad you're here for that, Simon. Otherwise, it'd just been me. Sorry, carry on.
So there's Bangor is not the sort of place where anything interesting happens. It's a little seaside.
Au contraire.
Oh, fuck it out. Oh.
But for some reason, Public Games Limited, the promoters decided to have this gig in Bangor as opposed to in Belfast. In just a big park in Bangor. But I swear to God, the only reason they decided to do that was so they could have their posters, big PIL logo, Joe Biden face, tagline, Bangor is an energy.
Wow.
Fuck
Yep.
you. I thought that was
No.
Look, mate. Okay, just look, mate. Look, I am a substandard comedian at best, but just the one thing of writing has taught me, right, is if you want to use the word banger as a punchline later in your story, don't use it in the same word as your nan early in the story. Right?
It's not banger. Banger.
What's the difference, you weirdo?
One rhymes with anger and one rhymes with
Banger.
anger. It's got a
No.
hard G.
Yeah, but what are you...
Banger.
Yeah, so what would I do to your gran?
You would bang her.
You're saying, hang on, would you?
If you've got
Nan dating podcast.
No, I think
What would you do to my nan? Finger her.
No, the sausage would be called a banger, but banger is the name.
No, I'd bang her. See, it sounds
Banger.
correct.
They're two different words.
Yeah, but you know how sounds work, don't you? When things sound like each other.
Sure, oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not my issue at all.
You know, like when you say hour and it sounds like R.
Well, that's all coming out. Yeah.
Oh, no, you got to leave us something about your nan.
Not a chance.
Well, you'll start a new podcast.
Oh, where did I get to there? Number
You call it
4.
Nan and Irish. No, that wouldn't work. Anyway,
Yeah, you should take it out.
right, what are we doing now?
Okay, number 4. I do remember this being a pretty big one at the time.
This is Nomad featuring MC Mikey D.
That's the very
Yeah.
one.
Wow,
Yeah.
good work.
Take it down, Mikey. Take it down, Mikey.
See, this is the sort of tune which I would have spoken ill of at the time, but now, yeah. fair.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I thought this was awful back then.
Oh, I liked this at the time.
Yeah?
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I liked it.
No, I like this, and I still like it. Take it down, Mikey. Take it down, Mikey. No?
I'll tell you what is fucking dreadful is the next one. I remember this very well.
Oh,
Oh, as it grew, Wiggle It.
Yes. Wiggle It by...
Wiggle It by Two in a Room.
Yes.
see, that's classic 90s dance rap.
Yeah.
It's the same, it's exactly the same rap as you get on Snap Records. and-
CNC Music Factory.
Yeah.
Wiggle it
Dreadful.
just a little bit as it grooves.
Yeah.
Awful, yeah.
It is terrible. Number 2 is even worse.
Just the Bartman.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Do the Bartman.
Do the Bartman.
Yeah.
Yo, hey, what's happening, dude?
Yeah, you see, I never saw The Simpsons this time, so it was a
All right.
it was a big craze, completely detached from anything I had seen.
Yeah.
It just
Well, it was just at that point. It was just merch and marketing.
it was in America, I guess.
Yeah, well, you may notice in that t-shirt, the t-shirt I'm wearing in that skateboarding photo that came out of me yesterday is a Homer Simpson t-shirt.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. And this is the one I'm pretty sure. Didn't people say this was written by Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when it gets to the chorus, it is pretty obvious. Let me skip to that.
I mean, and let's look for the clue in the title.
Yeah, it's kind of very the way you make me feel.
Yeah.
Kind of era.
So it's called
Do the
So,
bar.
and Bartman was a child, and the song was called "Do the Bartman."
Mm-hmm.
How do we never see this coming?
Mate, we didn't notice it was PYT pretty young thing. I mean,
Oh yeah, well, that is true. I mean, he was, he wrote the word "dangerous" on his album cover.
And bad.
Yeah.
Number 1 though. Now this is a fucking brilliant song.
KLF. Yes. The Colonel. This is
3 a.m. This is such a shame.
I love a bleep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This.
What I love is I love like they've bought their own crowd noise. Yeah, what we need is, just in case you don't know what to do, this is what you do.
Yeah.
That's the exact.
They are brilliant, and they're just the fact that you can't get their songs, and the fact that there's no back catalogue anymore. It's just.
Oh well, you couldn't go out and buy a.
No.
Their thing was they announced their retirement, but at that point they destroyed all existing physical copies, and that's why you can't buy anything new. Nothing can be re-released. Nothing's on Spotify.
Really? Well, I mean, there are a couple. Obviously, we've had it before where I couldn't play a KLF song because it wasn't on Spotify. This is on like a 90s CD best of or something. So I'm guessing that label has
Maybe
a
it
right
already
to
been
it.
licensed. Yeah, at that point.
How seedy is it?
So. I didn't realise that they even destroyed like all the master tapes and everything then.
No, I bet they haven't destroyed the masters.
Alright.
Well, I mean, do you reckon they destroyed them? I suppose they fucking burnt
Burnt
a
a
million.
million quid.
Did they actually burn a million quid?
They burned a lot of money. on it, really good.
I choose to believe they did because I love that
Right, sure.
particular act.
Well, okay, so that's your top 10. That's an up and down top 10. You've got dreadful shite like Vanilla Ice, Rick Astley, Two in a Room, but you've also got Soho, EMF, KLF.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure we're putting Soho in the right.
Oh, no, I think as an alternative, it's an indie, in inverted commas, track coming through.
It's so 91. I mean, is I believe the only track on there with an actual drummer?
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
And let's face it, that's mostly drum machine as well.
Yeah.
Interestingly, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Another tape.
Oh, he's got another
tape.
I feel like I should have bought a bag of stuff.
Have you still got any of the tapes that maybe I made you or anything like that?
Probably. I've got. If people made me tapes, I've usually got them kept. I made a tape for. Again, I've said it. I was in the circus, and on Saturdays we would practice in this big hall, a church hall, and we would have my little tape player playing whatever. And I would make tapes for the circus. And I would try not to be too much of a dick and just put on stuff I liked. I would try and put on some hits of the day, right? I made this one in, I think it would have been January or February 1991, and I had just got some sort of best of hits 90 thing or whatever for Christmas. So, track listing on this, I Believe, EMF, Wiggle It, Two in a Room, Do the Bartman, The Simpsons.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Crazy by Seal, 3 a.m. Eternal, KLF, X, Y and Z, Populate Itself, Gonna Make You Sweat, CNC Music Factory, Vogue, Madonna, Wash Your Face in My Sink. This is pure 1991
That absolutely is, man. And what would you do while you listen to this? Would you just sit around and talk about why you weren't getting laid?
What, at 15? That was why I wasn't getting laid.
Oh, because you were 15?
Yeah.
And a law-abiding citizen.
Mate, you should come to my school.
Gone to a club in Luton with Dave.
Yeah. Hung around the Radio 1 offices.
Oh, hindsight, eh?
Can I just make it clear for legal purposes that no one who's a part of the Pop Collaborate and Listen podcast is making any real legal challenge on...
Adrian Just.
Adrian Just, as far as we are aware, has never interfered with children.
No, in fact, all he's actually done is give me some records.
Yep.
And this is what's happened to him.
Yeah, that's his fault.
No free lunch though, mate, is there?
Top 10 there, and yeah, like I say, up and down. Only a couple I could see outside of the top 10 in this week that were of any note. Peaking at number 49 is that Petrol Emotions Tingle. Any?
I'm amazed that that's something you picked
No,
out.
I think My Petrol Emotion was sort of part of that kind of semi-left of centre rock that maybe I was a little bit too young for when they had their moment. I
Right,
think.
and also I think because there was an Northern Irish link to the band, they're probably bigger in Belfast than they were the rest of
Yeah, they were,
the
I
country.
think I kind of associate them with like Crazy Head and Diesel Park West and those sort
Yeah,
of...
they're more like that. Peaking at number 70 this week, and Si, let me look at this.
That's Throwing Muses.
Yes. Counting backwards, Throwing Muses. This is a brilliant song.
Yeah,
Love it.
Great album.
Absolutely love it. Peaked at 7, I didn't even think it would have got top 100 if I'm honest, that single. I'm surprised it broke anything.
No,
at all.
but it's still that first week of release stuff, and it's the first.
True.
I
It's
think
on
it was the
40.
first single off that album
It
as
was,
well.
yeah.
So
Yeah. And the only other one, peaking at 94, and I was entirely unaware of the band at this point, but I'm pretty sure I heard of them soon after and disliked them. Manic Street Preachers' Motown Junk. So they had just come through early 91. Because Motown Junk was the first thing they did, wasn't it?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, and then it was like You Love Us and stuff.
Yeah, then it was the first album stuff, but that was
no,
before all that.
I couldn't get on board with it at all. I remember them being really, really hyped in Melody Maker and NME.
Huge.
Who, and with hindsight, they were probably right because they did well in the sort of Britpop era. But I remember there was all that hype and they were writing on themselves. They were really angry about things.
Yeah.
And then I heard the music, and it sounded to me like Guns N' Roses.
Right.
And I know, obviously, Dave, you love Guns N' Roses, but to an indie sensibility, that was like, well, this is like boring. This is
Yeah. There's no drum machine here.
this is just leather trouser nonsense.
Which I believe is the new Guns N' Roses album title.
She's releasing
Yeah, check that.
years.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Anyway, right.
Okay, that's all I've got for singles this week, though.
I'm interested, like, just on the subject of Guns N' Roses, how amazing is it that no one's dead from Guns N' Roses?
Jesus, that's the point.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Huh.
Anyway, carry on.
Or Motley Crue, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yet.
I mean, Motley Crue have killed some people.
Yeah.
Oh.
We've all been there. Right, that's all I've got for singles. So let's finish off this album. We've only got 3 tracks to go.
Okay, so next track is 2 and 2.
Yeah.
So this one's almost metal. We were having that conversation. This is pretty much a fucking straight ahead metal track, isn't it? Really. It's just
It's got a big riff.
Yeah.
listen, it's got that kind of galloping kind of metal pace to it, you know?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
And he's got his more rock vocal hat on as well.
Reticently.
Yeah. It's back to that feel. But to be honest, I don't know. I thought it on the first one as well. I think the voice sounds a bit more forced. It's kind of fake to me when he does that.
I like his voice in that song. I think anything he pulls. I mean that doing that with your voice in any way, shape, or form is.
I suppose that's not what you're talking about. Yeah.
It is an affectation. You know. I mean, anyone that does that kind of more screamed vocal.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. But it doesn't. I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy that particular style for him.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't sort me out much at the time. I mean, now it just sounds like a really big, nice riff, and
Right.
the song works.
Right.
But yeah, it's an album track, not a single.
Yeah.
It's a very definition of an album track. Yeah.
Sure, but I mean, I also think it'd be a good live track as well. I think if drop that one live, and it's just going to be a kind of 2 minute. I mean, again, it's brevity is its success. A lot of it.
Yeah.
Straight. I mean, lyrically, it's about the fallacy of certainty. Just
Very
like
much.
being like, kind of
It's back to that same thematic thing as Trust Me and the album title.
like life exists in grey areas. Be cautious of people that think in absolutes. That kind of goes into that kind of Victorian kind of thing as well.
And that still seems true in 2019.
Don't want it though.
Yeah, it is. It's that. Don't tell me what to do. You're not right necessarily. You may say you are, but it doesn't mean you are correct.
What are you saying? They're not so much musicians as prophets. Is that what we're?
Well, I mean, they're called Jesus.
Oh.
The clues are all there. And my dad watching Real with me and asking me which one's Jesus.
Oh, amazing!
Classic dad joke. Classic.
Amazing.
Oh, great. Okay, well, this, I think you're right. This probably would be a good one live, because it's alright, everyone down the front, start throwing yourself around the place. It's for the 16-year-old fans in there. Yeah, that would work. Doesn't do it for me, this one, I must admit.
I think this is perfectly decent, straight up indie rock. I really like this one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep. Moving on to number 10.
Stripped.
Uh-huh.
We've all got exactly the same first note for this song, I guarantee it.
Oh,
yeah, just play it and...
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we must all. Yeah. Indeed. Anyway, right, so yeah, that's that song.
Yeah. So, I mean, someone's been listening to Public Enemy.
Yeah.
This is Bomb Squad, left, right and centre.
Okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. That is there. I thought Ministry straight away.
Well, I mean, I've put...
So what did Ministry sound like in 91?
Rape and Honey.
Which,
So,
okay, so that's...
Jesus Built My Hot Rod?
No, that's 92.
So 89 is Minus Terrible Thing to Taste. So that's when they've kind of invented that sound.
Yeah.
So we are... Yeah, they sound like this at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like I've put this is the industrial outlier on the record. It's like, kind of 9 Inch Nails, kind of pre 9 Inch Nails being 9 Inch Nails. Mm-hmm. You've got the whole industry, like revolting, like Al Jorgensen's doing his thing, revolting cocks are a thing, KMFMD, sorry, KFMDM. I can never fucking get that right when I say it. All that stuff is out there. But yeah, very much kind of, that sample heavy laden production. It just sounds like Bomb Squad to me.
I totally agree. I don't know if I'd say it's indebted to industrial, because I think those two sort of exist at the same in parallel, because you've got the effect of the Bomb Squad on UK music and on Grebo, and you've got things like Meat Beat Manifesto where it's all sample based.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think they exist. I think the UK side is a slightly funky, more dance indebted sound, and that to me sounds like this. And there's just so much going on. I would say that the song it's based around seems to have no place in this song whatsoever. It's the production is, I mean, it's two completely different songs.
Yeah, the vocal on here sounds entirely out of place.
Yeah.
For what it's part of.
Yeah, exactly. I don't quite how he came to the jam or whatever, and when I played this, and they went right.
This is, we talked a few times about them being a studio band. And this is someone in the studio going, okay, what can we do? And again, that is, pretty much the genesis of a lot of industrial music. People in studios going, okay, what fucking weird noises can we make these things do? This is the reason there was the warning on the record.
Yeah,
there was a warning on
something
the
about
sleeve notes. So this record has extreme sounds in it which can damage audio equipment.
Right.
So I just pinched my finger between my chair and my foot, and that's why I went like that.
Nice.
But I mean, this is a bold song to put on a number one album, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that it's most likely they are fans of. And I still stand by the kind of Ministry thing. I think it sounds more like that to me. And some of them are into that. And they've gone, let's do at least one song that sounds like this bit of stuff we like. Yeah,
I mean, there is a version of this released a couple of years ago that is the song as it sounds as a song.
Oh, really?
So it's stripped down.
Ooh.
Oh.
Well, so what does that sound like? Is it more like just guitar?
It's just pretty straight rock song that sounds nothing like this, I guess. Yeah, so I mean, I think really now looking back, there's just too much going on to be. It's not a great song. As much as I am when the break, it's James Brown.
The funky drummer again.
Yeah, when that breaks in, fine. That does sound great. But that's because you put that anywhere.
Oh, mate,
it'll sort me out.
Okay, sure. No, I think as an overall piece of music, like you say, Dave, it was a bold statement to put it in. It doesn't fit with the rest of it. It is abrasive. And it's probably designed to annoy a lot of people who are going to buy this album because they're not into that.
Yeah,
but
this is probably what would have sold the album to me completely.
I see.
Just as a little bit of a deliberate contrarian at times.
But also-
That it appeals to that part of me. Why
okay.
I like stuff that is obliquely noisy sometimes.
It's all right. It does its job.
I'm happy for it to be here.
Yeah, I would. If someone said to me, "Can you put a little compilation of the best songs on there, but the best 5 songs on this album?" This would be nowhere near it.
No, if I try and frame this out as a pop song, I'll be like, okay, I can argue why this isn't on here. As the contrarian little prick that I am, I love the fact that this is on here. Right. I love the fact that they've put this on here. It's this endears me to them no end.
I like the noisy bit. I just don't want the vocal in there because it just.
I don't like the vocal.
Right.
I think the vocal's pointless.
It's like if you're going to do one or the other.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it right.
Right.
Do it to me.
Nice.
Said to Radio 1 DJ to you. But anyway, what? Adrian Just. I keep forgetting his name. Adrian Just didn't do it. He just didn't.
Adrian Just say no.
And he did to Simon's advances.
Little slut.
You little slut.
I was an attractive young man.
Still are.
It was the undercut.
Okay, so final track.
Yes, alright. So, Blist, track number 11.
Nice kind of cymbal ride. Layering up. That's some good kind of slave synth.
Again, that sounds 80s soundtrack synth to me.
This is proper Carpenter, isn't it?
Yeah, that bit there, right? That reminds me of Tower of Strength by Mission.
Okay, yeah.
That's Tower of Strength by Mission.
See what I have to put up with, Si? Every time.
And I love that kind of echolocator beep as well. That is much too far forward in the mix as well. It's like, why? That's too far. You haven't.
Yeah, but I like it there. I really like that.
When I listened to this, I thought something else had happened on my computer.
Yeah.
I was like, another program is open, is it?
Oh, shit. I've left all of that porn open.
That's my type of porn, yeah. One that's just in Morse code.
Why is this computer so slow?
Alright, so this one, I do think the lyrics are kind of wishy-washy.
I think we're firmly in 90s territory here.
Yeah.
This is kind of all back to mine after the club.
Yeah.
Everyone's feeling a little bit good for whatever reason. And
They've had a goodie, they're feeling jaded.
Positivity and sweetness and light and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lovely sentiment, it is, but it's just a bit trite sometimes.
It's a little bit meandering, this one, but if you're going to put it anywhere on the album, put it last.
Oh, totally.
That's what it's for.
Totally. This is your closer.
it's very beloved, I think.
I thought exactly the same. Definitely.
You got your found sounds, bit of bird song. Oh, we've got some found sounds. We went out with a recorder. Recorded some. I fucking hate the expression "found sounds." Go fuck yourself.
I think you find it's pronounced fine signs, mate.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
It's got A's in it, has it? Found sound.
Fine signs.
There's a weird bit in this though. The chorus sounds like an NXS song, and I was trying to remember which one it is. It's not the chorus. There's a bit in it, and this sounds like "Disappeared" by fucking NXS.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay.
That really does sound like "Disappeared" by NXS.
Okay, interesting. I've not picked up on that one bit.
I like it.
That's a spot.
I've got here that I think his voice sounds pretty exposed. I think probably because they've not put loads of stuff going on over it.
Sure.
But yeah, it does sound like he stretched it about as far as he can.
Yeah.
But it works because it's a kind of laid back, breathy vocal anyway. So it's
It's a nice, uplifting. Lying in a field in a sunny day, listen to this sort of thing. It's much happier than the rest of the album, I think. It's a nice way to finish it. Yeah.
I mean, I think the whole album sequenced pretty well.
It starts off very
I
angry.
think absolutely. I think yes. That pops up the sensibility coming into play here. But it's also, like you say, someone that's listened to a lot of things and has learned from their influences. Like you say, a very, very, very well sequenced album. So that's it.
I was very pleased at the end. I don't remember some of it, but the bits I do remember I really liked, and some of the bits I don't remember I was very pleasantly surprised by again. So I really like this album.
I also really like this album.
Amazed that Dave liked it. I'm
Yeah.
so happy.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I really like this album. It's all of the bits that I like about good indie, without all of the stuff that I hate.
Okay.
It's, you know, it hasn't got any of this fucking, oh, we're swaggering and we're British and we're brilliant fucking dickhead stuff that fucking annoyed me about all of Britpop.
Oh yeah, but I think we all agree on that anyway.
Yeah, but I can't look past it in the same way that other people. I can't give it the pass.
Yeah, well, I guess to me, this I was listening to stuff before Britpop, and then when Britcock. When Britcock happened to me, when Britpop happened, I went running, screaming for the fields and the dance floors and away from all that.
Oh,
stuff.
sure, but you know, like even to contextualise this, we did the Charlatans album, and I tried to be as even-handed as I possibly can. But like that album is just that's a sign of indie to me. It becomes very tedious very quickly because it's. I find a lot of indie very happy to regurgitate the same set of ideas over and over again, you know, and some people get, you know, a lot of people, a lot of my friends, you know, kind of really big into those bands. It's like bands like the Blue Tones, who people absolutely adore, and I just can't get past the lack of innovation.
I live in the north of England, where that stuff is really big still. The Cortinas, there's a really big crowd for it. But I don't understand why a young person would form a band and want to play that kind of music. Nah. I don't understand why, you know, old men might want to get nostalgic in a field and have those chords that resonate emotionally with you. I get that, but I don't understand why a young person would pick up a guitar and want to sound like the Charlatans. There was an interesting thing about the Charlatans at the time that they referred to by Melody Maker as everyone's seventh favourite band.
That's nice.
All their readership liked them, but they were no one's favourite band.
Right.
Or even the top 6.
But the thing is, they probably had more #1 albums than any other band out of that indie genre.
There's going to be 2 more that we're going to have to do.
Yeah. They had a...
Oh, really?
They had 3 #1...
Wow.
Self-titled, I'm Telling Stories, both #1 in the 90s.
Wow. Crazy.
Both really good albums.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway. I like this because it's full of ideas and it's full of youthful exuberance and it's full of people that are going against the grain and not giving up, but they're also doing it with a pop sensibility.
Right.
It's kind of almost a meeting of two worlds that I really love, which is kind of slightly anarchic, kind of countercultural stuff and pop music. I'd have really liked to have had a pint of cider and black and go to some mushrooms with you lot. Probably it would have probably been a wonderful time. Or a little kind. I'd have probably liked to have sat on the top of a mini ramp while you lot were much better at skateboarding than me. Do you know what I mean? It was just This does give me a little kind of bit of low melancholy because I'm like, I probably would have enjoyed a lot of these records at the time, and there's probably a few experiences that would have been more distinctly English. The problem is, right, there's a joke amongst my friends, right, as you all know, where it's, you know, it's the line from Alan Partridge, and it's just to kind of paraphrase, it's like, oh, this is Dave likes American things.
Okay.
And I've always been a massive like Yankophile, you know, and stuff for me was always by default better because it came from America.
It was cooler and
more other, and I think that kind of did influence my early taste, and that's. Yeah, I don't have many musical regrets. I mean, I've got some Dog Eat Dog albums that I'm not proud of.
Albums.
Yeah. Who knew?
I think I've got the first EP as well.
Dave has met Dog Eat Dog on more than one occasion.
I know. I saw Dog Eat Dog live about 16 times over a very short period of time, and to the point where they knew me by name and would dedicate songs to me and Louise.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, there's some background info for you that you wish you didn't know.
There you go, man. The pair of you can act like you're fucking cooler than that, but you know, let's face it, the stories. I mean, probably not quite that.
Oh, no, I'm sure that both you and I will have equivalents. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In fact, I once got told off alongside Bentley Rhythm Ace backstage for smoking herbal cigarettes. So yeah,
Bentley Rhythm Ace. I gave New Kingdom a spliff at Reading Festival one year.
Oh,
wow. There we go. Smoked it with them as well.
I'm Facebook friends with those guys now.
Yeah. Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. All right, let's fucking know. Let's get into obscure bingo. I've played nose flute with.
You know what? I've done really well in that whole thing not to name drop like unknown indie bands. It's like my New Year's resolution is to not name drop bands that are of no interest to the person I'm talking to whatsoever.
Yeah, did I mention I gave Russell Howard last night?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean he opened for me.
Right,
Strictly speaking, didn't have to suck him off or anything.
Okay, so I'm very pleased. I suspect we're all in agreement that this is a decent album.
Yeah,
I mean, can we say it stands up to the test of time, or do we just like it because it sounds like it's 1991?
Oh, that's difficult. I'm aware it doesn't all stand up. It is dated a little bit, and some of it does. I mean, what was the track with the rapping in it?
Oh god, yeah.
That's
bullshit.
Yeah, I mean that's
a mistake.
That's quite obviously something that's dated poorly.
Yeah.
But I think the big singles, like Real International Bright Young Thing and Right Here Now. Yeah. I think those are. You could hear any one of those songs being synced today.
I think Right Here, Right Now is genuinely timeless.
Yeah.
The other stuff I think has dated. I think Real's dated a lot, but that's part of why I love it, because part of this whole sound is we're not making music that's going to sound classic, because that's what leads, when you're thinking about your legacy, that's what leads to Britpop and just boring stuff.
Right.
This stuff exists at the time that is saying, I can't believe where I live now, I'm going to use the latest technology. Jesus Jones were really forward thinking in terms of technical stuff. I mean, Perverse, the next album, it's one of the first albums to be recorded on a computer.
No, it's the first rock album to be completely recorded digitally. I read that.
And on the credits, everyone's assigned to kilohertz or hertz, rather than being said it's bass or drums, because they only exist as that.
Yeah. I mean that's insanely pretentious, but
it's
fun.
But yeah, it's all about that thing that they want to live in the here and now. So the fact that it's dated, I just don't have a problem with it anyway. So.
No, it's modernism, isn't it? I mean, in a way that the mod was a reaction. As hard as it is to fucking think, it's so weird, isn't it? Mod being modernism, but this is what's going on now, and yet it's all about fucking stuff that happened 45 years ago. Right? Yeah. Cunts on Vespers.
All right, so we're now at the point where we need to decide which songs from this album we're going to put into our ongoing playlist of the best stuff we think of every album. Now, as usual, we've got to do between 1 and 3 songs total. I'm assuming we're all in agreement that it's going to be more than one song on this.
Oh, without a doubt.
I think so.
Do we want to do 3? You want? Are there 3 that you think? Let's do it.
I could do 3, but
yeah.
I would do 3. Yeah.
Okay, so again, presumably we all agree. But let's go real. That's my favourite one.
Okay.
All happy with that? Do you want to do Right Here, Right Now?
Definitely Right Here, Right Now.
As the big one, the big kind of defining moment. Yeah. So that's 2. Tell you what, Dave. If you were going to do 3, what would your third be?
See now, and this is where the twat criteria stuff comes in, because the next best song on this is International Bright Young Thing, right? And then what we're doing is we're picking 3 singles.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I mean, given my absolute druthers, this is difficult because I think Trust Me gives you a statement of intent. I think Stripped gives you that outlier of what's going on, and is interesting as an album track. And I think that's very subversive that it's on there.
Yeah.
But it's objectively not one of the better songs. Welcome Back Victoria, I don't love, and I know you guys do. And I can't go with Burning because of that. I mean,
so
I don't know. I mean, I am leaning back between Trust Me and International Bright Young Thing.
Fine, okay.
I'm probably, because of how much I like International Bright Young Thing, I'm probably going for that.
Yeah. Si, what would your number 3 be?
Personally, I'd go for Trust Me. I really like Trust Me.
Oh, okay.
But I'm a big sucker for that noise.
Oh yeah, no, that is very yeah, totally. I would agree that I think International Bright Young Thing is the next best song on here.
Yeah.
But I am aware that then we've just done the first 3 singles. But I am also of the opinion that if those are the best ones, then that's what it should be. We're not necessarily.
Well, also, I wouldn't presume that loads of people are really familiar with those songs because they were the singles. Most people don't even know Right Here, Right Now, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, probably most people that are listening to this are the same age as us. I'm not feeling like your son's been handing this out to his mate. You need to hear these guys.
No, not even me being on it. I would do that.
If anything, that would be a negative. But yeah, all right. Shall we? I mean,
that would be my vote. I mean, I would say that Trust Me would be number 4.
Yeah.
But I think the best three are those first three singles.
All right then.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's representative. I think it's.
And I do really love International Break.
It's a great tune.
And
Yeah,
I want
yeah.
to be able to listen to this playlist from time to time.
Well, this is absolutely brightening up the playlist.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. This is just.
We need to put three of these fucking belters in here because we've just had Enigma and Sting.
I mean, we've basically just put a gold bar in the glove compartment of a £200 car, haven't we? You know what I mean? That's what we've just done.
Okay, those are the three. I'm good with that. Lovely.
Well, and do you know what, man? I just want to say, Simon, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you
so
here
much.
today. Thank you for taking the time out, coming down.
I loved it. It was great.
Awesome. I mean, I know you probably would have just wasted the time otherwise, but
I probably would have
by drinking.
I probably would have just been talking to myself about Jesus Jones at home.
Well, mate, tell us about stuff you're doing, man. I know that you're a regular contributor to the Temporary Fandoms and regular curator on Temporary Fandoms on Facebook.
Yeah, I also write for a blog that's of no interest to anyone apart from probably us, called Beat.Rehab.
Let's face facts, right? If people are listening to this, they're probably interested in bullshit.
No, exactly. There's the crossover between this podcast and that your blog website is going to be fucking high.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is the exact audience for it.
Yeah, so Beat.Rehab, where we indulge my love of writing lists of things and creating playlists for people that are probably too old to bother searching out new music.
Nice.
And occasionally contribute to another podcast called Dancing About Architecture.
Nice, of course.
Which is also worth checking out.
And we have discussed doing some kind of crossovers at some point, and when the world isn't so fucking insanely busy, we will get around to doing it.
Who knows?
But yeah, thank you. Absolute pleasure. Social media, people find you on social media?
Well, there's a Facebook page for Beat Rehab.
Yeah.
So just called Beat Rehab.
We'll look it up of our stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Krister?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Up yours. I'm good with that. Next week we are back with Queen's Innuendo, which is
In your what?
Innuendo. Which, yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to go.
Oh, I'm sure it'll be just as good as the movie. Right. Right. So from me, from Simon, from Krister, from Waffles the dog, and from Becca in the garden. Thank you ever so much for having us. We'll see you next time. Later.
Nice one. Bye.
Thank you for checking out this episode of Pop Collaborate and Listen. It was produced and edited by us, for which we can only apologise. We're on Twitter at PCL Podcast, on Instagram also at PCL Podcast, and facebook.com/PCL Podcast. All of these, plus links to our various Spotify playlists, etc., are on our website, which is PCLpodcast.com. Please feel free to get in contact via any of the social media or on PCLmusicpodcast@gmail.com.